timing on that, it amazes me how often the timing on that thing is like actually uncanny.
All right. We're coming live right at the right time. Literally to the minute.
Well, actually, we're a smidge late, but that's okay. So, everyone, we're here to check out Mason's new installment in the Bleeding Ground.
Yep.
And we're going to check it the fuck out. Oh, we're not. We're not. We had the countdown thing. Nice. So, you used the wrong one, though. There's way better countdown timers to use in the Premiere function on YouTube. There's this one that's all mechanized and awesome. It's fucking dope.
We just literally just pressed Premiere and just saw what happened and didn't know about that sort of option.
Oh yeah, you can pick the animatic that goes with the countdown timer, and there's this fucking awesome sci-fi one that looks like it's straight out of just pick a good sci-fi anime like Ghost in the Shell or Trigun, or it's not quite Evangelion, but like there's another. It's not quite Blue Gender either. You get the point, though.
Yes. Yes. You've perfectly illustrated the point. Oh, I'm excited for this.
Cowboy Bebop! That's the perfect example. It's like Cowboy Bebop. I knew I could find the best one.
Here we go. Life would lead. The question presents itself out of the blue. Whatever the answer might have been, it wouldn't be here, that's for sure. The world in which we lived was small and quiet. It was simple. One day he would die and I would take his place as the leader of our people. That was the way things were and always would be. Even in his wildest dreams, I doubt he would have come anywhere close to guessing the truth. Raising my tankard, I tip it back to savour the last few drops of cider. It's crisp and sweet, with just the slightest tang offered by the raspberries that flavour it. After a long day of manual labour, it hits the spot. Drunkenly slamming it back down on the table, I grin across at Amin as she does the same. This is fun, but a wave of guilt crashes into me. 9 months. Not even an entire year. On one hand, it feels like an eternity. On the other, like no time at all. Is it too soon to be having fun? To be sat drinking cider, laughing and joking with a friend, and feeling genuinely happy? Part of me whispers that I'm being disrespectful. But that isn't fair, is it? What choice do I have? The only thing I can do to honour the memories of those that I lost is to savour every moment. They're gone, but not forgotten, and they would want me to be happy. My life has changed so much in such a short time. It's almost incomparably different now, although the last few days have offered a sense of relative normality. This time last year we were doing much the same as the people of Minton are now, preparing for the onset of winter. If somebody had asked me then what I thought I'd be doing in 12 months, it's safe to say the truth would have been unimaginable. I could never have guessed I would be living untold miles into the north, in a kingdom I had no idea even existed, getting drunk in the Canary Cage Inn. It's a nice place on the edge of town, homely and comfortable, with an open fire crackling away to fight back the sudden chill of the autumnal shift. Of all the towns Amin and I have visited these last few months, Minton is my favourite. There's an air of defiant determination, an unflinching conviction to face life's hardships with pride. It's not an easy life, but they persist. They push forward. I love the music for this. Since leaving Huxley, Minton is the only place that I've found in which I could see myself settling down, and I think Amin feels the same way. The last few days have been spent helping out around town, harvesting the summer crop, replanting for the winter, assisting with livestock and pretty much anything else.
I love how the thing reads her name as a
In a way, it's been comforting to fall back. I think a meme feels the same way. It hasn't been purely agricultural assistance that we've provided, though.
Do memes have feelings?
The people of Minton are tired of living in a town they feel has received no love for the best part of a decade, and they're taking it upon themselves to bring about what they're calling the Great Change. A superficial and structural renovation spearheaded by the mayor, a man that most people refer to simply as Boss Man. Piece by piece, the town is being renewed with an eye set firmly on the future. By all accounts, Boss Man has big dreams, and whether or not they're achievable, the fires of hope have tempered the despondent spirits of the locals. Love that line. Although they were
It
initially
is a good
somewhat
line.
prickly and dubious of our presence when we first arrived, they warmed to us when we made it clear we were willing to pitch in. Our stay here has been a whirl of hammering, sawing, sanding, and painting, laying bricks and fresh cobbles. Anything we've been asked to do, we've done so happily. My body aches, but it's worth it for the sense of achievement and pride, to be part of something again. Wherever the spirits of my family now reside, I hope that they're watching with a smile. Maybe it's foolish to seek the approval of the dead, but I want to be the sort of man that would make them proud. Stop thinking so much, Amin scolds me with a scowl for emphasis. The denial dies on my lips as she waves a hand dismissively. It's written all over your face. Just relax for a bit. I'm going to get more drinks in, and if you're still at it when I get back, there's going to be trouble.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm more than a little merry right now. I'm not sure whether the cider is particularly potent or I'm just no good at holding my drink anymore, but it's gone straight to my head. In all fairness to me, it's just over 9 months since I set out from Huxley. Even longer than that since I sat down
It's
for a
gone straight
casual
to my
drink.
head, and my dick is rock
It does
hard
feel
looking at
good,
Amin's
though.
chest.
Apparently, Boss Man is turning cidery into a big source of income for the town through export and maybe even tourism. Personally, I can't get enough of it. Closing my eyes for a moment, I soak in the atmosphere. The inn was quiet when we first arrived, but now it's rowdy. A mixture of wood and tobacco smoke hangs in the air. A small dog snuffles and grunts as he works his way from table to table, seeking affection and scraps. All around me, people are eating, laughing, and telling stories. A group of men in the far corner are playing some sort of card game. I hear one of them curse loudly as the latest round concludes. Then his chair scrapes, and he stomps over to the bar, complaining loudly as he goes. Rag'em, frag'em, rigg'em, rag'em. I have to admit I've already formed an attachment to this place. The air of hope is infectious, and I want to see what Boss Man has in store, what his big plans are. I would love to stick around and see Minton flourish. I want to be a part of it. In my heart, I still don't know if we're doing enough. Little jobs here and there are fine, but what do they really mean in the grand scheme of things? What difference do they make in the long term? You're still thinking, I hear Amin say as she sets my tankard down in front of me and then takes us. You do realise that thinking is just a byproduct of being alive, don't you? I counter without opening my eyes. You know what I mean, smart ass.
Don't you mean you
I
know
do.
what you meme?
And she's right. I see her fixing me with a stern expression, but then she cracks up. It's strange. Never go with the transcript familiarity.
Yeah.
After just a few months, she already feels like a friend that I've known all my life. I guess, in a way, I have. I left one version of myself behind in Huxley. For a while, I was little more than a ghost. And now, I feel like an entirely different man. Tell me about the first time you got drunk, I say, before taking a deep pull from my tankard. This is my 4th round, and it's every bit as good as the first 3. I'm sure I'm going to regret my enthusiasm for Minton's premium raspberry cider in the morning, but tomorrow is another day, and my inevitable hangover is not tonight's concern. It was my
Classic short-term
16th
thinking.
birthday.
Right.
Amin smiles
Exactly.
wistfully as she recalls the memory. I think Celeste wanted me to feel grown up or something. She managed to get her hands on some wine, and I think she meant for me to have the one glass, but that didn't happen. Not once she'd had a few herself. Before I knew it, she was pouring me another and another until we were both hammered. It was the best. I don't think I'd ever seen Sel laugh that much. Her face was so red. I can tell there's a bittersweet tinge to the story as she sits in quiet contemplation for a second, and I regret asking. I hadn't meant to sour the mood. But almost as if Amin can read my mind, she offers a swift shake of her head before taking a hearty swig of her drink and jabbing a finger at me. Don't think you're getting away without sharing, wild man. Let's hear how they do it in the unsettled south. Gods have mercy, why did I start this conversation? Well, it's too late. there's no backing out now. And although I'm hesitant about the direction this will take, fair's fair. And my tongue's being loosened by
It's
the
the
drink.
South. We get up to fucking our sisters.
I was 15.
Oh, no.
Solstice, and there was a party. Me and some friends managed to get our hands on a few bottles of Ram's Ale. Wait a sec, Ram's Ale? Yes, brewed by Ram. So named due to the fact he was a giant amongst men that once beat a ram in a fair fight. Knocked it clean out with his bare hands and carried it home for supper. Alright then, farm boy. Pull the other one. Okay, fine. His name was Ramsey, but that's not as fun. Taking another mouthful of crisp cider, I prepared myself for what's coming. He was a big guy, though. Towered above pretty much everybody. People used to joke that the ground would shake as he approached. If Ram was around, you knew about it. Anyway, we shared the bottles out, I drank too much, and in a vain attempt to impress a girl, I fell flat on my face after trying to leap over a haystack. Amin burst into a fit of laughter, as I knew she would, and I buried my face in my hands to hide the embarrassment. That night was so long ago, and yet somehow it still holds the power to make me squirm. Brilliant. Did it work? She asks between heaving breaths. No, I fell flat on my face. I just said that. I shrug in a useless attempt to avoid this line of
But
questioning.
sometimes you can impress by
You know
fucking
what
up.
I mean? She scoffs with a
Yes.
familiar roll of her eyes. Was the girl impressed? As a matter of fact, yes, she was. I admit, before raising my tankard for another drink, so I don't have to look at her stupid grinning face. Did you make her your girlfriend? I attempt to arrange my face in an expression that says she's being immature, but her smirk disarms me. Gods give me strength. I am no match for this woman. Yeah, you're very funny. I sigh exasperatedly. No, actually, I think it would be more accurate to say she made me her boyfriend. Why she saw anything in me after the haystack thing, I don't know, but she picked me up and made me see the funny side of it. I was still humiliated, but I forgot about that pretty quickly. You know what I'm going to ask next? She says as her grin broadens mischievously. Of course I do. I basically asked for this, and I swear I'm never drinking again. Said
Why?
every drunk person ever. I'm with you.
Right.
Answer the question, she insists. You didn't ask a question. Yes, I did. If you must know, that night was a night of many firsts, I grumble begrudgingly. The gleeful smile on Amin's face is unbearable as she shakes her head in mock disapproval. She laughs. Get a girl drunk and take her to bed? It wasn't like, I begin, but the look on Amin's face stops me in my tracks. Every time. I rise to the bait every time. Oh, very funny. You're so funny. I should have taken you in and claimed that bounty. I wonder if it's too late. Whatever. She dismisses that last jab casually. So what happened next? You fell on your face, she kissed you better. Then what? Well, I stumbled home, long after the party finished, thinking I could sneak in without being noticed. Obviously, my father was waiting for me and he knew more or less exactly where I'd been and what I'd been up to. Was he mad? I thought he would be. The next morning I expected him to be furious, but he just shook his head at me and told me I was to go see Ram. We all spent the next 2 weeks helping out with whatever task he decided to give us to make up for the cost of the ale. I got it worse than anyone, because Sophia was his daughter and he wasn't particularly happy after hearing we'd gone off on our own. His daughter was getting cozy with the prince. Unbelievable. You're not going to let the prince thing drop, are you? How many times do I have to tell you I was just trying to bait Theodoric? Wipe that bloody smirk off your face, you're unbearable. I watch as she tries, and fails, to keep a straight face, and then shake my head with a weary scowl. So, yes, the only one that got away with it was Sophia. Ram let her off once she apologised, and I never heard the end of it. She was so pleased with herself for getting away with it while the rest of us were being worked like horses, even though it was her idea. Smart girl. Yeah, she was. Too smart for me, that's for sure. We were happy for a long time. I wish you could have met her, I mean. I think you'd have been good friends. Actually, forget that. The two of you working together would have been terrifying. I can barely put up with you as it is. I receive a kick under the table for that, and Amin laughs as I wince. I had a boyfriend for a bit, but after Sal died, it kind of fell apart. I was pissed off all the time, and I just pushed him away. Then he joined the Queen's Guard, and obviously I wanted nothing to do with him after that.
Obviously.
Was there anybody else afterwards? Nah, I wasn't interested in all that, to be honest. Me and James were close. We wanted the same things, and we worked well as a team, but it never went any further than that. What happened with Sophia? This was the bit I was dreading.
Well, she was kind of
Recalling the
murderized.
humiliation was the much easier part. Shuffling my feet, I looked down at the table and scratched the back of my neck awkwardly. It's strange
I
to
like
share
the
it.
change in
I
score.
don't know why. Will it change how she looks at me? Should I have told her sooner? Shit. Evander, I'm sorry. It's okay, I cut in. I want to tell you, it's just... We stayed together. About 18 months later, she was pregnant and we were married. We had a daughter, Annabelle. A lump rises in my throat once I've said it and I can't look at her. I know that her face is going to be full of sadness and pity, and I just can't. Were they... She trails off and I shake my head. No. They were gone by the end. I thank the gods they were. Losing them hurt, but they died peacefully. A simple sickness. Good. She reaches across the table and gives my hand a squeeze. I wish they were here now, but I'm glad it wasn't like the others. Me too, I agree quietly. They were happy times, I mean. I look back on them fondly, but they're in the past. I'm sorry I didn't tell you sooner. Don't worry. I get it, she assures me, and I can tell she means it. I'm filled with gratitude and the lump in my throat swells again. I close my eyes briefly and take a deep breath before waving my hand through the air as if to dismiss the tension. It's my birthday, I blurt out, in an attempt to regain the atmosphere we were enjoying before I ruined it by opening the door to the past. I don't particularly care about
That's a good
celebrating
lie.
my birthday,
Yeah.
but I need a diversion. It works, and I'm relieved to see Amin's face light up. In that case, we better make this a night to remember. 1 hour and 2 tankards later, we're in the middle of another conversation when a woman steps out from behind the bar. There's a dip in the raucous atmosphere as she stands there in a simple green dress with flowers in her hair before starting to sing. Everybody, and I do mean everybody, joins in with a surprising enthusiasm. It's a simple tune, with a beat provided by the drunken patrons pounding their fists and feet as they sing. It tells the story of a man working in the day his wife tells him not to go to work because she's had a prophetic dream that something will go horribly wrong. The man doesn't listen, but that day there's a rumbling sound and the mine collapses. The man is trapped underground and convinced he's going to die, but the thought of his lover keeps him going. The song ends with the miner's wife taking him up to bed, and the bar is filled with loud cheers and laughter. Amin and I share a look, and she gestures towards the door. I could definitely do with some fresh air right now, so we both climb to our feet, drinks in hand, and make our way outside.
Well, you heard the song.
Stumble
Let's go, fuck.
is probably the right word.
Right.
As well. This time I was this drunk. At least Amin's weaving now. I was beginning to think she was going to drink me under the table, which she'd never let me live down. The early October air hits me like a cold slap as I walk outside. I hadn't realised until right now how hot it is in there. Taking a few deep breaths, I
That's
feel
the
the world's
booze.
not swimming quite as much. The sky is clear, the moon is bright, and the stars are out in force. Over the last few weeks, the oppressive heat of the summer has given way to cooler nights, and the paved area at the back of the inn is pretty much deserted. There's plenty of free tables, so we choose one away from the others, and I slump gratefully into my seat. A sweeping field stretches out before us, and I can just make out the Brathwell farm in the distance. Minton is a small town by Northern Kingdom standards, but I would love to have seen it in its heyday. Life on the outskirts of the kingdom isn't easy. The march of progress has left them behind. These days, outsiders have very little reason to come here, but Bossman's trying to change that. I've heard promising stories. I gather he has no love for Halborough nor the Queen Regnant, and why would he? Minton has been ignored and neglected in favour of more profitable towns. They've been left to their own devices to fend for themselves, and needless to say, that's fostered a growing sense of resentment from the locals. Hopefully, Bossman has what it takes to make things better. In a way, Minton reminds me of home. It's full of simple people just trying to get by. The gratitude people have shown for even the smallest favour has been overwhelming. When we helped to fix a loose wheel, we both received enthusiastic handshakes and an invitation to dinner. which turned out to be delicious. Time and time again, the simplest things.
I love
have been
Amanda, which turned out to be
marvelous.
delicious.
I'm snapped back to reality with a jolt.
Like, I was surprised.
Max, I'm telling you, mate, I'm faster than you any time of the day. Any day of the year, pal. A man slurs to his friend as they make their way over to the edge of the field. In your dreams, his friend objects loudly before placing his drink on an empty table. The first man is tall and lithe, with close cropped hair. The second is broader, with a subtle paunch starting to form. He's maybe an inch or two shorter, but with an almost identical haircut. It's hard to tell in this dim lighting, but I wouldn't be surprised if they were brothers. I raise an eyebrow at Amin, and she shoots me a smirk in return. The taller guy catches it and throws us a friendly wave. What about you, pair? I'm faster than you two and all. I'm almost certain you are, mate, I answer with a warm smile. I'm not racing this man. Not a chance. We'll take you up on that, Amin chips in with a dangerously competitive glint in her eyes. Loser buys the next round? Oh, brilliant. Why didn't I see this coming? Of course she was going to rise to the challenge. I really should know better by now.
Yep.
I'm not. She cuts me off with a glare that tells me it's absolutely pointless to argue. Fine. Racing it is. With an exaggerated sigh, I push away from the table and climb unsteadily to my feet.
A drunken
Amin
foot
jabs me
race
playfully in
sounds
the ribs
horrible.
as we line up beside the table.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To the creek and back, she asks, and we nod in agreement. All right. On your marks then, lads. We wait a few seconds. The taller man signals for us to start, and then we're all sprinting and giggling uncontrollably as we go. I make it about 10 yards before I stumble. For a split second, I'm sure I'm going to end up sprawled in a heap, but I just about manage to catch myself. Seeing that Amin hasn't noticed me falling behind, I stop running. Fair enough. Moving back to our table, I sit with my legs stretched out and my hands behind my head as I wait. Amin dashes back a minute later with the other two hot on her heels. It's close, and I think she's going to win, but with a last-ditch effort, the shorter guy pushes himself and just about manages to get back first. Having fun? I ask Amin with a raised eyebrow as she leans heavily on the table. You're so boring, she wheezes breathlessly. I'm just lazy. I hate running, and it's my round anyway, so I thought, why not just take one for the team? We end up spending the rest of the night with the two of them, drinking, singing, and playing various competitive games. I beat Elf, the taller one, at arm wrestling, but suffer a miserable loss to his friend Baxter, which I'm sure Amin isn't likely to let me forget anytime soon. Baxter seems particularly smitten with Amin as he admires the ink on her arm. When we first met, she only had the intricate design on her wrist, but on our travels we stopped in a town called Midvale where a tattooist expanded upon it. Now, most of her forearm is covered, and the artwork is impressive. Unfortunately for Amin, the more Baxter drinks, the more obvious his attraction becomes. At one point, I even see him run one of her long braids through his fingers, and that seems to be the final straw. Excusing herself, Amin strides over to the bar, and Alf slaps Bax around the back of the head. What are you playing at? She's going to knock you out in a minute if you're not careful, he warns. I'm not being that bad, am I? Baxter asks with a furrowed brow. Alf throws a glance my way, and I shrug in response. Just lay off a bit, pal. I don't think the hands-on approach is doing you any favours, Alf tells him firmly. I feel a bit sorry for Baxter as his face flushes with embarrassment. After that, the night progresses in a drunken haze. We're still at it when the bar slowly starts to empty. At around midnight, the bartender rings the bell for last orders, and the remaining customers, including the four of us, groan with
Well,
disappointment.
this chapter isn't very
Alf and
grimdark
Baxter
at
get
all.
to their feet, and we all journey up to our room seems daunting, and I sit quietly for a moment.
Violence! Death!
Amin watches me, her eyes filled with a quiet mirth.
Existential dread!
Are you upstairs, or are you sleeping here tonight? Don't stop.
Where's the
I
menace?
groan, before stretching
Where's the
and
evil?
beginning the mammoth task.
Where's
of
the
climbing.
meth?
It can't be evil all the time.
And offers the bartender a cheery wave as we make our way over to the door.
There needs to be moments of levity, damn it.
stairs. I'll hold him.
What?
You punch him. I complain as I grip the banister tight.
There
and hold
needs to be
myself.
moments of levity for the darkness to matter.
Roll on me. We're gonna. Warns me.
Will you
That'd be
rewind it
mean,
a little bit?
prompting me to speed up a bit.
I just
A
love
sense of
that.
achievement
Love
when I reach the
this
top
sort of
is
interaction as they're
disproportionate
going.
to the task I just completed.
Uh,
But that doesn't stop me
Zack,
grinning like
he
an
wants you to
idiot as I
rewind it a little
shuffle
bit.
triumphantly along the hallway. Leaning against the wall, I wait as Amin unlocks the door.
Don't worry about it.
Stumble our way inside. It's a small room, but it's clean and comfortable enough. The moon shines its pale light through a window in the far wall. There's a little fireplace, a dressing table, and 2 single beds. Throwing myself fully clothed onto the bed that I've claimed as my own, I watch the room spin dangerously around me. I close my eyes and gulp down a few
Room
deep
spin's never
breaths
good.
until the worst of it passes. I know I'm going to hate myself in the morning, but right now, I'm going to say it's totally worth it. I hear Amin climb into her own bed, and then we settle into a companionable silence for a few minutes. This was fun, I murmur groggily. I want to roll over and face her, but the bed is so comfortable that I'm finding it hard to summon the motivation to move. It was, she agrees quietly. It's nice here. The people are good. Yeah, I think Bax might have been a fan of more than just your ink, you know. Shut up. I can already hear the wedding bells. Shut up. I hope you don't want me to make a speech. I'd be very embarrassed. Shut up, or I'm going to smother you to death with a pillow, she warns. We both crack up for a second, before lapsing back into that contented silence. It doesn't take long for my mind to start wandering, and before I know it, I'm drifting. Something wrenches me awake. It takes me a few seconds to adjust to the muted blue-grey light of early morning. What was that? Did I hear a scream? Feeling suddenly sober, I swing my legs out of bed and I'm taken aback by what I see. Amin sits on her bed, knees pulled to her chest, back against the wall, panic-stricken. It looks like she's genuinely terrified. Moving over to sit beside her, I'm about to say something when she holds up a finger to silence me. I watch as she takes deep, rhythmic breaths and slowly starts to calm. Meanwhile, I'm feeling a rising tension in my gut. I've never seen her this agitated, and whatever the explanation is, it's not going to be good. There was this man. I had a dream. I don't know, maybe it was more than that, but there was this man, she says, so quietly I can barely hear it. I saw him off in the distance, and I knew I needed to talk to him. I can't explain it, but I felt him notice me, and then he was right there in front of me, just staring. There was blood coming out of his mouth, and the look in his eyes was like he was in so much pain, but so angry at the same time. He pointed back in the direction he came from, and I saw a shadow or a storm cloud or something. It was spreading across the sky towards me. The moment she makes eye contact sends a shiver down my spine, and the knot in my stomach tightens. In the soft morning light, she still looks pale, but no longer terrified. There's something strange that I can't quite put my finger on. She takes another deep breath before continuing. Dark days ahead. That's what the man said. Dark days ahead. Then the wind was whipping round me and he was gone. I couldn't take my eyes off that shadow. It was just getting closer and closer. I felt afraid and I wanted to run or scream, but I couldn't. And I was back in the room, but the man was there, just standing by the window. He turned to you, and that must be when I actually woke up. I don't like this at all. What does it mean? Over the last few months, Amin has been unshakable, but I watch as she suppresses a shudder and wipes away the tears rolling down her cheeks. Taking my hand, she shuffles closer, and I stroke her knuckles softly with my thumb. I'm sure it didn't mean anything. I lie unconvincingly, but it's hollow and meaningless, because we can both see through it. It did, she insists, and I see nothing but certainty in her dark eyes. I've never had a dream like that, Evander. Never. Something bad's coming. I can feel it. Cautiously, because I'm not sure whether or not it's the right thing to do, I wrap my arm gently around her and pull her close. It's the first time that I've done this, and I'm not entirely sure how she's going to react. But she doesn't resist, and instead leans into me as she takes more steadying breaths. I'm lost for words. How can I convince her everything's going to be okay? Amin isn't exactly prone to overreactions, which means this is something to be taken seriously. Ever since we first met, she's been a brick wall, solid and dependable with a strength that inspires me. To see that hard exterior crumble, even briefly, is unsettling to say the least. I have no doubt that she believes wholeheartedly the dream meant something, and so do I. But what? Dark days ahead. Who was this man? What does his message mean, and why must it be so cryptic? If there's danger on the horizon, why not just tell us what it is? Deep down,
Don't you know that takes all the fun out of worrying about it?
Right.
Doyle, this has something to do with him. I know that some people might accuse me of getting distracted or giving up on finding him, but that's not how it is. My path is laid out for me. It began in Huxley and led me here. I have to believe that there's a reason for everything that's happened, that certain things are beyond my control. I have to follow my heart with the faith that one day the gods will bring us together. What other choice do I have? The truth is, I have been ignorant and foolish. Only now does it occur to me that Amin is wrapped up in all of this due to her association with me. Our fates have intertwined. The idea that I might be putting her in danger is troubling, but I know she would never willingly turn aside now. It would be an insult to tell her that she should, tantamount to saying that I don't believe in her, which I do. This friendship that we've cultivated is important to me. I need it, and although that is undoubtedly selfish, I think Amin feels the same way. Nevertheless, I have plenty of food for thought. In the end, I decide to say nothing. I don't want to offer empty platitudes, and so I just hold her. Eventually, Amin untangles herself and pulls away. I'm relieved to see that she looks a lot calmer now, and although there's still a tension in her shoulders, the familiar fire in her eyes is back. I'm gonna get some air, she tells me, as she retrieves her boots and begins putting them on, fumbling the buckles with trembling hands. Do you want me to come? No. She shakes her head as she strides over to the door. Turning back, she flashes me an apologetic smile. I just need to clear my head. Don't worry, I understand. Take your time and we'll meet up later. Try to get some more sleep. I don't want you just lying there worrying. It's not going to do any good. Okay, I agree. And then she shuts the door behind her quietly. I listen to the sound of her footsteps as they fade, until I'm left in silence with this tension solidifying in my gut, and the words of this unknown man rattling around in my head. Dark days ahead. And there we go. That was volume 6. Thoughts?
Hang on, they're coalescing.
That makes me nervous.
You know what you've done here, Mason, is you've written the exact chapter I wrote in almost the same place in the story. So I wrote, "I'll be damned if I'm sober at my own damn party."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it was in the same place, roughly, in the story as the Canary Cage in terms of the pace of the story and things that happened, and and it was. I mean, the structure of the chapter was the same, and the purpose and the narrative purpose it fulfilled was the same, and it's. I mean, I can't say anything other than it works and it's good. I thought that the conversation at the table between Evander and Amin was almost dragging, but then it wrapped up, and I was like, okay, Okay, if that had gone on any longer, that would have dragged. But it wrapped up and moved on. And the increasing characterization, good. I find the choice of the time skip interesting. I find the time skip interesting. I'm not a fan of time skips, generally speaking. Um,
It's only 6 months in terms of like it's 9 months since he left Huxley and 6 months since the events of Enemies of the Crown. And I did that just because the Valdis and Evander storylines are sort of unfolding.
Mm-hmm.
but wait, that would be 12 months.
Wait, no. Oh yeah, so it's 4 months. Sorry. It's October.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's I did my maths wrong. It's October because it's basically the time scale has sort of basically followed the pattern of real life, more or
Okay.
less.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wanted to make it feel like the Evander and Valda storylines were like, unfolding at relatively the same time. So
Right, that makes sense.
and I wanted there to be a little bit of a time jump so that it could feel, like they've had some interactions over the last few months.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying it was bad. I'm saying I'm personally not, generally speaking, a fan of time skips as a storytelling device. And that's strictly a reading preference. Like, I'm definitely not going to say they can't be done well and that they never serve a narrative purpose. I'm not making a writing argument against them. It's just that's entirely a fan thing.
Yeah.
I do think that it does give you some interesting potential as a writer to say, well, this happened during the time skip and this happened during the time skip. So you do give yourself some fun little opportunities that you can literally just pull out of nowhere. Because, like, well, during the time skip, he happened to acquire this.
Yeah. Well, I just wanted to make it, for the most part, they've just been sort of wandering around exploring the kingdom, and I just wanted that to sort of feel, that's what they've been doing the last few months. They've just been making friends and traveling around and, seeing what's what, and now they found like this place that Evander feels a bit of a kinship with.
Mm-hmm.
Did
you enjoy the world building?
Yes, the continuing world building there wasn't a lot of it in this chapter, but it is continuing to be congruent with itself. I have not detected a problem in the world building so far, and that's the most important thing.
Mm-hmm.
Better to have less world, but it's all congruent and solid, than a fuck ton of world, but there's a ton of holes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I just love. I actually quite loved this chapter because, I really enjoyed Amin and Evander's, their chemistry, and I really enjoyed writing that. That little scene when they're lying in their beds, and he's like, "I think you might have been a fan of More Than Just Your Ink," and she's just like, "Shut up." I love that. It's like one of my favorite things that I've ever written, to be honest, because it's like in terms of just a character interaction, I really loved it.
Mm-hmm.
And,
yeah.
I think it's kind of hard for me to like remove my love for this chapter because the next chapter adds to it.
Mm-hmm.
So like as a package pair, which I'm hoping the next one won't take too long to get out because, pardon me, because Lee's obviously away for these next 2 weeks, so I should be able to record it while she's away and then obviously put it out when she gets back. So it should only be, a couple of weeks until the next one's out.
Oh, nice.
The music was fucking hard for this one.
Yeah.
I was like,
it was great though, because that part earlier I mentioned where the score changed when he was going into telling the story about his wife and their child. I thought that was brilliant. How, it was a really subtle and kind of seamless change that you were like, whoa, wait. We've moved into a different feeling in the dialogue here.
Yeah, I love that Evander like clocked that as soon as he'd asked her, and then she was like, "Oh, what about you?" And then he was like, "Oh, I know where this conversation's gonna go, and I don't
Yeah.
really want it to, but
Yeah.
he makes me
Yeah.
laugh as a character. He's ended up being so like goofy,
Uh-huh.
but like not unbearably so. I wouldn't say, hopefully not. But I just love all the little stuff, like like I'm sure I'm going to regret my enthusiasm for Minton's premium raspberry cider in the morning, but tomorrow's hangover is not tonight's concern.
Right.
We received invites to dinner, which turned out to be delicious.
Kate, look at the message I'm about to send you.
Okay.
It was funny because when you were like, "Where's the menace?" I was like, "Just wait." I could have. I was laughing. I was laughing to myself with Lee the other day because I was like, I had the chance, Lee. I could have written that chapter, and it could have been a really nice, just little chapter of just them two, just getting along, having a good night. Could have been a nice little chapter, but no, I had to force in the menace. Writing her recollection of the dream was difficult because I was like, like a couple of ways that I wrote it out, it was like a way too linear, and I was like, that's not how dreams feel. And like when you're telling people that's not how dreams like come across, so I had to spend a bit of time on that.
Yeah. Yeah, that dream. It was good though.
Mhm.
And you can tell me if I'm wrong, the dead guy is the guy that Valdez poisoned, right?
Yes. Oh, I'm so glad that you got that. Genuinely, I can't express to you how happy I am that you clocked that straight away. I was like, how do I, without saying he's like tall and broad shouldered with curly hair, how do I get across that it's him? And I was just like, right, I'll do the blood coming out of his mouth because that's like, nightmarish enough and like a clear yes.
Yeah, because you did that, and I was like, I know who that is.
Yes.
Yeah, literally as soon as his description finished, I'm like, oh, that's the soul of the dude Valdez killed.
I was like, it's John. Hi. You're dead.
Hi, John. You were a dickhead.
Right.
Hey, John, nobody liked you. You had the potential to be good, but then I killed you off within a chapter because Valdez needed to kill someone.
Well, yeah, that's the rule. You have to kill side characters.
Well, what would be great is, and I almost don't want to say this because I almost want to see if you just did it organically, but I'm just going to say it. You could keep using him.
That may or may not have been the plan.
Yeah, you could absolutely have his soul keep. Hey, little fuckers, get these over there.
Right.
There's something about the dream world in that world, and I'm actually, because of how I write this, I'm not entirely sure what it is yet, but the dream world definitely seems to be, like a thing.
Mm-hmm. Well, and you've set the supernatural precedent here that there's definitely wonky magic shit going on, so it makes sense that and I could see there's 1,000 different ways you could flesh it out, and each one of them would make sense and be good. So I am very excited to see what you end up nailing down in the end. I hope I'm not a fan of soft magic systems. I like hard magic systems.
Yeah.
And I like I like analyzing them and saying, "Oh, with this I could do this." That's my shit.
Yeah.
Soft magic systems are just too vague. It's like, well, you could literally just pull anything out of your ass if you want to. I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan.
Yeah, I get that.
Complexity.
I also don't think I'm anywhere near smart enough to do a hard magic system.
I disagree.
That's a lot of maybe if I could use like Campfire Blaze or something like that, where I could like, put everything down and like re-reference it, but trying to do it all from memory is fucking hard.
Also, I'm gonna backtrack on you a little bit. You were talking about Evander, and I asked Kate. That the message was me asking Kate if I should say this, and she said yeah. So I'm just gonna say it. I really am starting to feel like Evander is much like Dolge in the sense that he's a direct reflection of the guy writing him.
Yeah, the difference there is that I'm not necessarily doing that on purpose, but it's just how it's coming across. I mean, I think part of that is just because like his and Amin's dynamic is based so much off mine and Lee's.
Right.
So, with Lee being like the Amin in the situation and me being like the Evander of the situation, where I'm like, oh, shut up, you're not gonna let that Prince thing drop, are you? Wipe that smile off your face, you're unbearable. That's just what we're like. So I've just basically taken our dynamic and given it to them, which probably does lead to Evander seeming a bit more like me.
And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not one of these people who has a problem with self inserts as long as they're well done.
Yeah.
Oh, man. I'm loving this process, man. I really am. Like, I'm loving writing it. I'm loving thinking about it. I'm loving recording it. Because as I'm getting better at it, it's not as hard. That one took me about a week to crack out, which is fairly good. And I'm just really enjoying seeing what people think as it comes out. Like, this is why I enjoy doing these with you, because it's just like I get to sit there and just like get the audience reaction to it.
Yeah.
I'm quite excited to see what other people on BookTube think of it, especially now that I'm sort of introducing like the romance element to it. Which is really interesting, because when I first started writing Enemies of the Crown, my intention was just to make them really good platonic friends.
Yeah.
And then as I was writing the dialogue, you like Kate and Lee were both like, ooh, having a bit of a flirt, and I was like, no.
You're like, no, there's nothing to ship here. Stop it. No.
But now that it's developing and it's most certainly heading in a romantic direction, I'm quite excited for that, because I feel like romance is a decent hook in it.
Yeah. Plus, I mean, it's the way that it's been done. It feels.
Where
like
did my father think my life would
organically?
That's good.
So, I think that was a good thing. The fact that you went into it without the intention of it turning out to be like that, it just kind of did it on its own.
Yeah, it just the characters just told me what was happening.
Yeah.
They were like, "Yo, we're gonna bone at some point." And I was like, "Okay."
Don't you love it when your characters do that? It's just like, hey, this thing is gonna happen. So, yeah.
Listen, you've killed off everyone that I've ever known, and now you've introduced me to a hot woman. We're gonna bone at some point. Okay,
right.
Vander. No worries.
It's like, fine, I will give you this. Here you go.
I've taken everything away from you, so I'll give you something.
Right, yeah.
I continue, maybe this is just a byproduct of my somewhat unique psychology, being that I'm, crazy.
Uh-huh.
I continue to have no fucking clue what you guys and other authors are talking about when you talk like that. I guess it's because I think it probably is because of my schizophrenia, because I'm so used to having all these voices that feel distinct from me in my head, and I know that it's all still technically, and in a little literal sense, a part of me. Like, I don't think of them as, I don't think of my characters as being separate from me. They're all just reflections of me. And
Yeah.
so I don't think of them and my when I breathe life into them, I don't think of them as them telling me things. I think of myself in an abstracted or altered sense.
Mm-hmm.
Do you not find it with the story though that, like, as you're going along, I guess it might happen to me more because I'm a pantser, but
Mhm.
I find as I go along, there's just certain things that present themselves like, oh, this should happen. Like in the next chapter, there's like a thing that I was like, okay, this is about to go into this territory if this doesn't happen, so this is just going to happen now.
Mm-hmm.
I have stuff like that happen, but it's not. So that happens, but it's more. It's not because the characters demand any alteration to what I had planned for them, and it's not because I want to change anything in regards to the characters or their circumstances or whatever. When I make on the fly changes to the story or the world, it's because I have the thought, wow, that would be so much fucking cooler.
Yeah. Yeah,
I could
that one from the next chapter wasn't like a conscious, like, oh, this is like this character telling me this needs to happen. It was like I literally got to the line and was like, if I don't do this now, it reaches this territory, and so it needs to just happen now because it's the natural point for it to happen.
Right.
I'm so fucking glad that you knew it was John. Like, I'm so fucking relieved. I was like, oh my god, I hope I've done enough for people to recognize that it's John.
Yeah, there's still Easter eggs in Garden of Lies that I hope someday I go to a convention and a super fan just walks up to me with his copy of Garden of Lies, and there's like 1,000 post-it notes through it. And he's like, "And here, what you really meant was," and I'm just like, yes, and I'm waiting.
Yeah.
For it. I really am.
Yep. It's like, whoa, dude, you broke out the tabs, the post-its, and the highlighters.
You've written all over the marges.
It's like, dude.
Yeah, I'm waiting for that day. I really am.
Yeah.
I can't wait for the day that I finally, like once I've finished Bleeding Ground, which, obviously it's going to be a long time, but, when I can compile it all into the written version and try and get it, like, physically out there, that's going to be really exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't wait.
Did you see the description for that video, by the way?
No.
Oh, no, I did not. Let's open it back up.
It made me laugh.
History cage. Caitlin be doing that. She writes shit in the description that makes me laugh. The series is back. Picks up 6 months after the events of, and it's 9 months since.
I need to change that because it's not 6 months, idiot.
Right.
As a Vander and Amin settle in for a night of drunken shenanigans, perhaps cider isn't the only thing brewing in the town of Minton.
Nice.
Yeah, that's a good line. I'm not
Yeah.
sure why it made you laugh. It's a good line.
Just because it's just straight up like romance novel description line.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Fair enough.
It's clearly said with a wink and a nod, like
Yeah.
perhaps
Like,
cider isn't the only thing brewing in the town of Minton.
Right.
Boom chicka wow wow.
Brown cow.
Yeah, well, I'm happy anyway because honestly I was a bit nervous today because I actually don't usually get nervous before I show these to you, but like because this one was slightly different to the rest of them, I was like,
Yeah.
I was like, this is either gonna go well or it's gonna go fucking tragically wrong. I was like, either they're gonna be okay with this or they're gonna hate it, and if they hate it, I just don't know what I'm gonna do.
Nah.
Nah, you got to remember, man. I assure you, Mason, that you have a level of skill with writing that it far exceeds a lot of other people's, and you have a level of obsession with quality that exceeds mine. And because you obsess over quality and you have that high skill level, it's highly unlikely that you're ever going to put out anything that I'd say was bad. There might be things there's like, for example, there's poetry you've put out that I'm just like, yeah, okay, but you'll never put out something bad, I think.
Yeah, well, it wouldn't necessarily even need to be bad. The writing itself could have been good, but you could have been like, "Yeah, I'm not sure about this story direction." I mean, I guess it was the romance angle that I was worried about the most, but I don't know why I was, considering what your book's like.
Well, yeah, I mean, dude, you know me. I'm a sucker for a good love story. I've never understood guys that like are standoffish about romance and love stories. It's like the quest the quest to have a wholesome, meaningful relationship with a good woman is the primary quest of any sane, well-adjusted man. As far as I'm concerned. So I've never understood the aversion to like rom-coms, and it's like, well, if the movie's bad, sure, but just the aversion to the genre as a principle, it's like, why? I don't get it.
Sometimes you just want to see nice people falling in love and having a good time.
Exactly.
Sometimes you need a break from the drudgery of it all, and then the author decides to just slam you over the head with a with a nightmare prophecy premonition thing.
Or the author decides that the fucking female lead's father is gonna kidnap her and take her back and imprison her in the fucking Grand Cathedral and
that sucks when that happens.
Yes.
To be honest, it would take a ballsy author to go with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Especially if one of them was a vampire and the other one was a werewolf or a shifter. Like, I think, and that would just take it to the next level.
Would just be.
Yeah, because no one's ever depicted a werewolf stuffing it to a vampire before. That's
Right?
just-
Yeah.
No.
Not something you see all the time.
Yeah, exactly. And well, a story like that would definitely call for like explicit sex scenes as well. So
yeah,
he could say something like, "Just fucking with you."
Oh, I thought you were gonna say the line. I was positive you were gonna.
I'd take her out of my mouth.
No,
it was she takes me out of her mouth.
Out of her face.
Oh yes, yeah, exactly.
Oh, yeah,
Out of her face.
She takes me out of her face.
I was like, well, this was before we came up with this name, but I had a Jeremy moment.
I know it's like it's sort of like that with Evander and Amin, because I'm like, all right, so if I'm gonna do this romance thing, like, A, how much can I lean into this? And B, how much do I want to lean into this? Because my mother and my grandma listen to this. So
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
you know, and YouTube's terms of service. So I don't think I'm gonna be narrating any fucking hardcore sex scenes anytime soon.
Well, you could actually. That wouldn't be against TOS.
Would it not?
No.
No, nope. Nothing verbal. As long as you're not like calling for violence or using racial slurs. Nothing verbal is against TOS.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Still not going to happen.
I mean, yeah, I would kind of expect you to be like, and then they went into a dark room, and this stuff happened.
yeah. The lights were off. They didn't look at each other. there was no eye contact.
I was literally about to say that. I was like, I didn't look at
Imagine that though. Trying to upload that to my channel, it's like, I don't know, fucking. He caresses her hips softly. I couldn't do it. It'd just be like, I would die of embarrassment.
Well, see, that's the thing, though. You just have to take that fear, okay, and you just lean into it, okay, and eventually, you stop feeling it. It's just like, you know what? Just here.
I'm just imagining the comments on the video.
I'm here to do a thing. I'm writing the stuff. It is okay.
That would be absolutely. The comments on that video would be absolutely golden.
Be like Mason.
I'd have to have a warning at the beginning of the video.
What would be great is if you had like a scene skip, so it just came out of nowhere. So like 1 second, they're just like walking down a path, and then they like trade a glance, and then there's a scene break, and it just skips to them just
hitting it from behind. He's giving her the Superman.
I'm stuffing it to her from behind as she wails in pleasure.
She grabs onto a tree branch to steady herself.
Her box sounds like wet noodles in a pot being stirred. It's amazing.
Lovely. That was lovely. Yeah, it's gonna be. The thing is, though, as well, is like I also definitely couldn't write like a hardcore sex scene, because it's like, yeah, like their chemistry is so clearly based on mine and Lee's, so it'd basically be like writing a sex scene with me and Lee in it, which is not going to happen.
Mason doesn't want us to know that Lee dominates him in the bedroom.
No, exactly, yeah. It's not good for my image if I tell everyone how much she bosses me around. I still have lockjaw from that gag.
Oh my god.
Oh man. Oh, yep.
I've never been able to look at a riding crop in the same way.
I asked her not to hit me so hard with the horsewhip, but she said no.
Riding crops. Now not just for horses.
She said I have to get fat again so the saddle fits better.
Oh my god.
Seriously, I know I've mentioned it. I really can't get over how glad I am that you knew it was John, because I was like, I was sort of afraid people were gonna like think it was Valdus, and I was like, I really don't want people to
Valdus
think
is
that.
obviously the guy up on the hill.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously. 100% obvious. The guy, John being Valdez, flicked through my head for like a split second, and then your description began, and I was like, oh, no, it's not that. It's the guy you killed.
the recording process of that was like really, it was fun but challenging at the same time, because it's like, trying to actually do like the voices for the dialogue and stuff, and like and do all the tone of voice and stuff. It's like, it's a massive challenge, but it's also really rewarding when it like, when it pays off in the end.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like I love the tone of voice. I love Amin's tone of voice when she's like, "Shut up, or I'm gonna smother you to death with a pillow." It's like, it's so clearly like said with a smile on her face, and she's like so clearly like she's drunk and she's in bed and she's trying to get to sleep, and Evander's just like bantering with her, and she's just like, "Evander, shut up, or I'm going to murder you."
Yep.
Yeah.
He's terrible. Evander is terrible because he's like that whole thing at the beginning where they're being like, "Stop thinking so much." It's just dead funny, because in my head it's like that's just what he's like. You leave him alone for like 2 minutes and his mind just starts going like, "Oh, where did my father think my life would lead? Oh, I lost all my people," and and his mind just starts wandering. And it's even funnier because she's like, "I'm gonna go get more drinks in. If you're still at it when I get back, there's gonna be trouble." She leaves. 2 seconds later, he's like, "I feel like she's a friend I've known all my life. I guess I have. I left one version of myself behind in Huxley, and for a little while, I was nothing more than a ghost." It's like, dude, just relax for a second.
Yeah. Yes, sir. I know that. Again, to not to steal the spotlight, but just to draw a comparison, there's that similar dynamic that unfolds in Garden.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see that.
And you haven't even gotten Mason to the parts that I'm really talking about.
Yeah, what I mean is, like, I can see how that would unfold.
Would be a thing. Yeah. Yeah.
How's that going, by the way? All that, have you spoke to Twin Peaks, or?
I'm scheduled to. We kept. I missed one meeting, and then the next meeting got canceled because of a surgery. Our next one is coming up the 27th. I'm going to be talking to them early in the morning of the 1 a.m. the 27th.
Okay. What about the audiobook guy?
Hermit seems to be very, very busy. So for now, I'm assuming that has just fallen through because I have not heard from him on it. And I've been thinking about it. And now that I have this node surgery done, I'm going to see if my recovery gives me any better airflow through my one nostril. Because my left nostril is great.
Yeah.
My right nostril still seems to be kind of clogged, but I am still actively bleeding, it seems, because I'm still coughing up blood routinely.
It's good to hear that you sound better today, though, because it sounded like you were absolutely dying last time we were on stream.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Last time we were on stream, I was miserable. I'm definitely making a lot of improvement. I'm just hoping that the bleeding. I actually have an appointment the 26th to go in and talk to him again, because I really don't feel like I should still be bleeding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hopefully it clears up. What about World Next Door, Kate? How's that coming along?
I am working away as quickly as I possibly can. I had a small disaster. I had almost the whole thing typed into the computer, and then Microsoft decided it wanted to do a fucky, and I lost almost the whole thing. Yeah, it was bad. So I'm having to retype all of it back into the computer.
That sounds horrible.
Yeah. Yep.
That's why I've got Bleeding Ground like spread out everywhere. I've got like, it's in my docs, it's in my Gmail drafts, it's in like multiple of my Gmail drafts. I have multiple copies because I'm like, at some point, all of this is going to get deleted. I know that it's going to happen at some point. I'm just going to prepare for it.
Yeah.
Yep. I told her.
Gordon.
Yeah.
What was that?
Did that ever happen with Gordon?
I think the most I've ever lost on Garden because of a technical issue was a couple pages. Like, I think it was maybe 5 pages.
Yeah.
Still a
Well,
decent chunk.
yeah, because I
Yes.
know, because at one point, this was back when you and I were using Zoom. You were working on the third book, and you were sitting there typing, and then all of a sudden, it did that weird thing where, like, all of the pages were really little, and then it just went. And you were like, no.
What the fuck?
Yeah,
Yeah.
they all went bye bye. He was so pissed.
Oh yeah, that's a day ruiner.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah.
When shit like that happens, I'm not gonna lie, I kind of go temper tantrum mode and throw up my hands and say "fuck this" and walk away from it for a while.
I'm not being an author anymore.
Fuck it, I'm not finishing with books. Fuck.
You were like, and it was really bad because it was a day that you were like, I'm not doing caffeine today. I'm not. And then that happened. You were like,
I'm going to go get coffee.
and you were like, I don't care what you say. I'm going to the store and I'm getting full throttle and probably a candy bar.
Ah,
I was like, that's fine. You were like, don't talk to me like I'm baby.
Shut up.
Tell us more, Kate. Tell us more. It's my favorite thing in the world.
We have a good time.
Oh yes, of course you do. Because that's what friends do.
I want to cycle back on something because it got glossed over because you kept talking.
Okay.
What exactly, Mason? What exactly do you think you could possibly do to the story that I would be like, what the fuck? Why would you do that? Like, I can't imagine that you would take the story in a direction where I'd be like, no.
Amin and Evander stumble across a portal to another world.
I mean, that could still potentially be great.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. You know what I'm like. It's just my stupid
Time
brain.
travel. Because it's absurd. Just kidding.
Well, I mean, there's such a high the precedent for magic bullshit is already so high.
Uh-huh.
It's like literally anything could happen, and you could justify it within the world. And that's, like I said, I'm really excited to see the magic system continue to get fleshed out and built. It's one of my favorite things about world building is when there is a magic or in sci-fi. They call it tech, but it's still fucking magic system because fucking sci-fi authors be doing bullshit these days.
It's like, what are you guys doing?
It's like, bro, that's not how science works.
Right. Yeah. Which
The line between high tech and magic is very thin. Very thin.
Yes. Razor fucking thin. Very fine line.
Let's travel back in time to kill Veldus before he gets so powerful.
God, I would actually love to see that. I would love to. I'm a sucker for origin stories, man. I love origin stories, background lore, and why things are the way they currently are. So, if you hook me with the story, I instantly want to know everything about the background.
Yeah.
And I would love to know more about Valdus's background. What is he? Where did he come from? How did he get this way? I need these answers.
You're asking a man who doesn't particularly know yet. Bleeding Ground is
told me.
Bleeding. Yeah, Valdus hasn't told me what he is yet. He's holding his cards very close to his chest. Yeah, Bleeding Ground's like it's offered me the opportunity to write things that I never thought I would write.
Right.
Like when I first set out doing it, I was like, going back to when I did View from the Fifth Floor, I'd never thought that I'd never thought that I'd end up doing fantasy. I definitely didn't think I'd end up doing like dark/horror fantasy. And then even once I'd started, I never thought that I was gonna have like political intrigue in there. And now all of a sudden, we're living in this town where they're making a change for themselves because they're tired of being neglected and ignored in favor of more profitable towns. And it's like, right, I never expected to do that.
Yeah.
It made me laugh that one of the things that he was doing around town was like helping them with the farming. I was like, oh, brilliant.
Right? You're like, of course you are.
And then that's sort of why I ended up doing the agricultural assistance isn't the only thing we've provided though.
Right.
He's like, I do more than milking the cows. Sometimes I also carry the bricks.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Sometimes I hammer, saw, sand, and paint.
This one time, I accidentally hit my dick with a hammer.
Oh, no.
But it's okay. It's all better now.
There's so many questions about the mechanic of that.
Well, I mean, you're leaned over a table and your junk is kind of resting on it because of the height of the table, and you swing the hammer at something that's in front of your face and you miss and it goes all the way down and hits your dick.
Okay, well, I mean, at least you weren't hammering naked, which was like the first thing I thought of. I was laying a carpet whilst naked and accidentally stapled my foreskin.
I will. Excuse me. I will say, have you ever heard of the Pain Olympics?
No, but the name sort of explains itself, though, doesn't it?
Yeah, the BME Pain Olympics, man. It was this fucking thing that spread across the internet like wildfire. Largely proven to be, most of the videos participating were proven to be fake. But it was this internet trend in the early 2000s where I can't remember the exact premise of the competition. In terms of the background, like the supposed reward or whatever. But the premise was you uploaded a video of you torturing yourself, and whoever's torture was the most gruesome one.
Good Lord.
Jackass gave birth to so many things, didn't it? Including Dirty Sanchez. Have you ever seen Dirty Sanchez?
No.
So it's like Jackass, but it's just a load of like English dudes instead. I think at least one of them is Welsh. They do some pretty fucking gross stuff. I think there's one where dude has like liposuction, I think, and one of the other guys that drinks his fat.
Ooh.
Oh! 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 Oh!
That's my reaction when Lee made me watch it. Because of course it was Lee that had seen it before me.
Of
She was
course.
like, have you... I know, not just cannibalism, not just consuming human flesh.
How you've practically just like recoiled so much you're shriveled up in your chair.
It feels gross, Jeremy.
I know, Jeremy. It's like how do you make a man this big, this small? Tell him that. That's how.
You tell him about a friend drinking another friend's fat.
Ugh.
Not just cannibalism, not just consuming human flesh, drinking the actual fat sucked out of your friend.
Right.
You know what? I'm happy to say I don't have any friends that I love that much.
Right.
I mean, I'd do it for enough money, but I mean, like, oh,
How much
God.
money is enough money, though?
7-figure sum.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
I'd do it.
See,
for seven.
I always like hearing people's ballparks with stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like
I'm
$1
trying to
million?
think.
All right, give me the hose.
Yeah, I'd probably do it for less than that. I'm not gonna lie. So if,
I mean,
if someone was there with 100 grand and they were like, drink this fat, I'd be like, I don't want to, but 100 grand is quite a lot of money.
Yeah. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, if they put 100K in front of me,
Right.
cash, and I'd probably do it. I probably would.
Lee the other day was talking to me about it. She was like, "See, this is an example of why like Evander and Amina like based on our thing." So the other day she's like, "What's worse, swallowing a fly, or like 'cause I think basically once a fly landed on her eye and she tried to get it off and accidentally crushed it, so it died." It died on her eye. She was like, "So what's worse, swallowing one, like an alive one, like breathing it in? Because that's happened to me before, where I've like one's flown in front of me and I've fucking sucked it in." She was like, "So what's worse, one dying on your eye or breathing one in?" And I was like, And in my head, I was like, "Right, I'm already blind. It can't do anything to my eye, so I'll pick the eye one." And she was like, "Yeah, but what if it has a parasite and it crawls up into your brain?" And I was like, "Oh, fine, I'll eat it then."
And I mean, that's a legitimate thing. Like, that could be true.
I
Yeah.
know.
Bastards have every fucking thing under the sun wrong with them.
Right.
God, they're
And
vile.
she knows that parasites are like my worst fear too. Like that's like visceral worst fear for me. That is, it's like
Yeah.
fucking having a bug inside you. It's, oh no.
Yes.
Yeah, parasites are one of the worst ways to go too. Because I mean, the shitty thing about parasites is either usually there's one of three results. You never realize you have it because your immune system sufficiently nukes it. You get sick and it gives you a hell of a time, or it kills you.
Mhm.
Those are your options. And 98% of the time, the first one happens. 1% of the time, the second one, and 1% of the time, the third one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh
Yes,
god, I
yes,
hate even
yes.
thinking about it. But yeah, I was like, fine, I'll eat it then.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Me and my ex-fiance had a lot of interactions like that.
yeah, I can imagine with what you're like. I can imagine you being the wind up one though out of the two, whereas in why did my tongue get so fucking twisted then? Lee is definitely the piss taker out of the two of us, and I'm very much the all right then, fair, very funny. I'm so excited to show you the next chapter now. Like I'm really glad that I'm like ahead in my writing. You know what? You know one of the problems we're having at the minute though is that
What?
so I've written the next chapter and I'm working on the next one after that, but I'm like ahead of myself in my brain, and I'm like thinking about story developments that are going to happen, you know, in like 2 or 3 volumes time, and I'm like, stop it. You need to think about what's happening in this chapter. And my brain's like, yeah, but I want to think about this. And I'm like, we'll get to that. Can you please just tell me what's going to happen in this next chapter, please?
I've been there.
Yeah.
I've been there.
Yeah.
At least you finished a series. I'm 6 fucking volumes in. In all
Well,
fairness,
the series isn't.
No, the series isn't done now.
No.
In all fairness, though, that chapter takes it up to about well, what is 20 plus 30 would be 50, wouldn't it? So it's 3 hours 50 in total, I think, is the runtime now for the entire story. So that's cool.
Yeah.
Damn, and we're not even close to done. You're gonna have an epic novel by the end of this thing.
Yes. Gonna have
Yeah, it's going to be.
What's your word count roughly? Do you know?
Let me think. I'm guessing it would be somewhere around. So that was 7. The next one's about 40. I'm guessing probably around 20k. I think that's a rough estimate. But it was really funny because the other day I was working on the whole draft, like getting it all written down in one bit, and I got to the end of Symphony of Screams, which is volume 3, and I looked at the word count, and it was like 6,000 words or something. I think it was like 6.2k, and I was like, the first 3 chapters of the story are 6.2k long. Volume 4 is 13k. Volume 4 is fucking. It's longer than the entire first 3 chapters.
Right. It's like, how did this happen?
When I publish, the editor's gonna be like, "You need to break that up."
And it's gonna be like, you
No.
go fuck yourself.
Like, here's an idea. You can suck my cock.
Because that's not happening. This chapter needs to be one thing because it's one consistent story, and there was no decent point to break it up.
Right.
Exactly.
Right. I mean, and legitimately, there's literary precedent for there being chapters that long.
Yeah, well, and in fantasy, you get given a lot more leeway with that sort of thing as well. Like if you were writing a thriller, they'd be like, "No, no, you need to shorten those fucking chapters down, mate." But like fantasy, it's like, yeah, you do what you want.
Yeah. I mean, because fantasy is definitely a lot different.
It's so weird to be writing in fantasy. I haven't got over that yet. A bit like that's just not where I expected to go at all. I thought I was going to write a thriller or maybe like a contemporary romance or something. Did not expect to be like this deep into a fucking fantasy world.
Yeah. It's amazing what how your brain likes to surprise you that way sometimes.
Yeah, I sort of hate it.
It's like, well, I mean, it's kind of like what Stephen King talks about, how he almost views what he calls his imagination to be a separate person, and how it kind of just dictates to him what he's going to write, because he's like, oh, I have this nice idea for this kind of a story, he said, and then here comes in this
the coked up demon.
Right, yeah. Well, it's apparently a lumbering old guy in a gray suit who smokes bad cigars and has tons of and has tons of bowling trophies.
So what you're saying is he just writes in front of the mirror. Throwing shade at one of the most beloved authors ever.
Right, yeah.
Well, we've tackled Tolkien. We've established that he doesn't know the difference between a quest and an adventure. So we may as well move on to Stephen King now.
Right.
Well, listen, here's the thing, okay? Here's the thing about Stephen King. He drank mouthwash.
Yeah. Yes. Yep.
He is nowhere near beyond reproach or critique or taking the piss on.
Yeah. Yep. It was so, man, I can't get over that. It was so funny just listening.
We've all thought about doing it.
Yeah.
Let's not lie.
I have literally not. Like, don't you fucking tell me that I've thought about drinking mouthwash. I've only thought, unless we're counting in the what would happen if context.
Well, yeah, that's more or less what I was thinking. Yeah.
Yeah, because it was so funny because he was recovering from being an alcoholic
That
and
doesn't sound like recovering.
right, yeah, and dropping the cocaine at the same time.
Oh, tackle one at a time, Stephen.
Right, I know. He was like, so I'm dropping both of these at the same time because I'm like, okay, just gonna get clean and straightened out. And it's gonna be fine.
You can't do them one at a time because a lot of the time using one drug reinforces the using of the other one.
Yeah, I realized that right after I said it.
So he went to smoking like almost 3 packs a day. He was like, because that's better,
Sounds tasty.
Woohoo! And he said, and he was like, for some reason we kept running out of Listerine. He was like, my wife was like, I know what you're doing. You're drinking the mouthwash. Stop it. Stephen, where is all the Listerine going? He was like, I'm insulted. I'm not drinking the Listerine. He was like, because in actuality, I wasn't. He said, I prefer Scope.
It also got in my head now is just Captain Jack, like, where's the mouthwash always gone?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. He was like, because it doesn't burn on the way down.
Just fucking Pirates of the Caribbean remade, but where Captain Jack just drinks mouthwash all the time.
Oh my god. We lost Zack.
Yay.
No! Jeremy!
Come back, Zack. We're nothing without you.
Come back, Jeremy. Where are you?
I'm all alone.
Oh no.
With no one here beside me. I'm so cold and alone.
Oh no.
Baby, it's cold outside.
It's like, oh dear.
Oh, that's going to start anytime soon.
Oh, yeah. Baby, it's cold outside.
Yeah, well, just Christmas music in general.
Yeah. He said, my internet curve.
No, no.
Oh no, Jeremy. Jeremy, come back. Come back.
Just got to get Halloween out of the way, and then that'll be it. November 1st, Christmas music everywhere.
It's like, what do you mean get Halloween out of the way?
Are
You
you?
not like Halloween?
No, well, I mean, I don't really care either way. It's not particularly, I don't get dressed up or anything. But no, I just meant like once that's done with, they're just waiting to put the fucking Christmas music on, so that everywhere you go, you have to hear it, and then Christmas. I hate Christmas.
He said, "God damn it, Xfinity Bergen turds again." Jeremy. He said, "God damn it, Xfinity Bergen turds again." He said,
He should make that his ringtone. Oh, damn it. Oh, Kate's calling.
Well, me and Kate almost never communicate on the regular phone, so that just wouldn't work.
Because you're a 21st century digital boy.
And I've got a 21st century digital toy.
I don't know how to read, but I got a lot of toys. My daddy's a lazy middle class intellectual. My mama's on Valium, so ineffectual. And life a mystery, yeah. What?
I said, that's why I went to the club to get real drunk. I met this girl and we hooked up. She took my shit by the time I woke up. Now I'm walking home. And I know my dad's gonna be pissed.
Yeah, I don't think Rancid sang that.
You were actually singing a song?
Yeah. Yeah, 21st
I thought we were just improvising like a pop punk song. I had no idea that was a real thing you were singing.
No. 21st Century Digital Boy by Rancid, covered by my guy Nomi.
Okay.
Yeah. Did I ever tell you about the time that my mum was legit concerned about me because I was listening to Black Flag?
Oh, really?
I'm not sure. Did you?
On my Facebook, I posted a nervous breakdown, and my mum replied, and she was like, "Mason, are you okay?" Like, yeah, mum, I'm just listening to music. It's fine. Just chill. I'm about to have a nervous breakdown. My head really hurts.
Oh my god.
I'm crazy and I'm hurt. And on my shoulders.
I like just improvising random fucking, pop punk style lyrics about things because it's like it's so easy to make a pop punk song in terms of the lyrics. It's like you can literally just say anything that's like about crazy teenage shit, and it works so well.
Yeah.
My friend who I used to be in bands with, who was always the superior musician out of the two, well, the actual musician, because I was just a fucking poor excuse for a lyricist. Whereas then he can play bass, guitar, drums. So he's an actual musician, and he went to uni to go do a music degree, and he sent me some of the stuff that he'd been working on the other day, and I was like, okay, this is like really well made and good. It's not the sort of thing I'm going to add to my Spotify, that's for sure. But you can tell that it was made by someone doing like a music degree. It was very esoteric, which makes sense because Brad was always like that with his music. Brad was the one that introduced me to like spoken word bands and stuff like that, and I was like, oh, okay, these are good.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. I'm not very big on a lot of them, but there's a few. Like, are you familiar with Hotel Books?
Yeah, I've heard of him. Yeah.
But have you heard them?
Yes, I think so. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I had a few of their songs on my Spotify for a while.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hotel Books has this one song. Was one of the songs. It was one of my I'm listening to this because a girl done me wrong songs when that happened.
Yeah, I like there's a band called Listener, and his voice is he's kind of like having a drunk friend in the room that just sits in the corner rambling, but it's also like for some reason kind of engaging to listen to. He's like got like a super, well, I don't know what sort of accent it would be. I assume like a southern sort of one. He's like so I made a wooden ship to sail these seas.
Oh my god. Oh.
I actually really like spoken word. I think that's why I enjoy doing it. I was always like, as a teenager, I was like, if I could be in a band like this, I would love that. And I only ever got the fucking chance to be in shitty pop punk bands.
Yeah.
Although I was in a folk band for a while too. That one went horribly wrong, actually.
The folk band?
Did it?
Yeah, that went horribly badly. So there was a girl in it. She was called Mercy. And so the band was called A Merciful State, and so it was right around the time we were in high school still, and it was right around the time when like Mumford and Sons and Laura Marlin and stuff, and Noah and the Whale, like all those sort of bands were like making it, and Florence and the Machine as well.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah,
like,
I love Florence.
Florence and the Machine is great.
It was Mercy. It was scary how much she sounded like Florence.
Oh wow.
To the point where there was a Christmas concert at school one time, and she sang a Florence and the Machine song, and a lot of people in the crowd accused her of lip syncing because she sounded that much like her.
So when she
Oh,
was
wow.
actually doing a Florence and the Machine song, it legit sounded like the fucking the track. But yeah, it just didn't work. Like we were like, rather than being a band, it was like this proper like 3 disparate entities that were like coming together and trying to make music. And it just didn't work because I was writing Mason lyrics, and Mercy was like a far more like poetic writer than I am because I've always been the bard of the common man, as I've been dubbed by Zack.
Yes.
But I've always been like that with my writing, whereas in like Mercy was writing songs with like symbolism and all that sort of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
More like Kate and me.
Yeah. And we did a gig at this local venue, which was just like a little pub sort of thing. And at one point, me and Brad had to get off the stage because she was doing like a solo sort of thing.
Yeah.
She just decided, hey, I'm going to do this like solo in the middle of our set, and I was like, oh, okay. And people were really confused why me and Brad were leaving the stage. It really didn't work though, because in the end, as we were getting towards the end of high school, she had this like super religious awakening, which didn't bother me that much, but from her perspective, she didn't want to hang out with me and Brad because she was like, well, just various religious things that she was saying. I can't even remember now, but she just basically told me and Brad that we were going to hell, and told us that we weren't allowed to use her songs anymore.
Oh, wow.
That's wild. I never understand religious people like that. So they supposedly find God, and their first instinct is to start telling everyone that doesn't agree with them that they're going to hell. It's like that's literally like counterproductive to the entire thing. So.
Yeah, I mean, I can sort of see where she was coming from in terms of me, just because at the time I wasn't like practicing or anything, but I was quite interested in paganism, and I was just looking into it quite a bit. Just because I find it interesting. Like I've always found like polytheistic faiths. I've always found that sort of interesting. So I was really heavily into like looking into that sort of stuff. So, I can sort of see why she maybe had a problem with that. But yeah, it just really fell apart tragically. We actually had a good thing going. I played harmonica.
Oh, wow.
That's funny. That's funny. I there was a period. I still own it. I still own my childhood harmonica.
Yeah, you see, the thing is, I feel like you're American. Playing a harmonica suits you. That's like an American, that's American thing, isn't it? Like a harmonica, like. Whereas then, like fucking 14-year-old, 15-year-old me from the UK and from like some fucking industrial town, like playing a harmonica and wearing a flat cap.
I mean, honestly, I still see it. The harmonica, I get where you're coming from, Mason, but the harmonica is the point of the harmonica. It was always meant to be, at least in my view, an instrument that kind of anyone could pick up and kind of just pass the time and be doing something that was better than sitting on the porch watching the dust roll by.
Yeah,
it's the instrument of the common man.
I mean, when I say that I played it, what I mean is I bought one and then blew into it and thought that I could play it.
Yeah, I never got much good at mine either. The best I could do was doing a somewhat consistent rhythm, and I can't circular breathe, so I couldn't keep it going.
Yeah.
Yet.
It is something you will learn. The archive will teach
We
you.
will get you there.
Well,
Have you been in any bands, Zach? You seem like the sort of person that would have. Have you been in any bands? You seem like the sort of person that would have been in bands.
I was in a band. It was a kind of a metal punk kind of an outfit, and I really liked the music we were playing. I really liked it. I was ditched because I couldn't. My vocal range is not quite up to the task of hitting a lot of the highs and power chords that he wanted me to hit. So the band leader kicked me out.
Oh, I was in another one that was it was called Hype. Oh, what was it? It was Hypomania, I think. We called it, and yeah, that one was bad too. That was Glenn, who was like the guitarist. He was really into like his he was really into like his indie sort of stuff. But he was like a massive fan of Muse. So we ended up like doing a few Muse covers, and me being like confident teenage me, like, yeah, I can hit the notes that Matt Bellamy can hit. No, Mason, no, you can't, because Matt Bellamy can hit A5s, and you can't do that, no matter how much you want to think you can.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was asking me to. He was asking me when I was in Age of Pawns. Was the name of that outfit? He was
Age of
asking
Ponds.
Age of Pawns.
Nice.
Oh, I thought you said pawns.
Yeah, like
Okay.
yes.
Yes, I said pond, as in fish pond.
No, like Age of Pawns, like chess.
That's a cool name though. I like that.
It was, well, the whole thing was that that it was supposed to be like a kind of a concept band where the entire thing was talking about the state of the culture.
Oh, nice.
And God, he had some really good songs. He had this one song. I wish I could find it, because I'd gladly just even though I'm a little bit salty about being kicked out, I'd still listen to the music because it was legitimately good.
Yeah.
There was this In My Wildest Dreams, and that was my favorite song because it was depicting a guy going through this like his own nightmare dreamscape.
Oh, nice.
And he wanted me to hit like this Guns N' Roses style power chord.
Yeah.
And it's like I can hit a very strong note in my range, but you ask me to do a high power chord, it's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
Maybe I could do it if I did years of dedicated vocal training, but he was trying to get to the point where he could do shows that winter. And I've been looking for him. I can't find any record of him as the band existing, so I'm kind of thinking it fell apart after he ditched me. So, haha, fuck you.
It's one of those where I feel like musicians and people in bands, they get so caught up in trying to sound a certain way rather than just finding their own sound.
Yeah.
You could have been a really good vocalist for that band, but he was so fixated on wanting you to hit the the Guns N' Roses style note. That was like an actual barrier where it really shouldn't have been.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Because it should have just been, well, what can you do?
Right.
Right.
Back
then I thought it was really cool to try and hit the high notes, whereas now I'm more than happy to lean into the deep side of my voice.
Exactly. And I mean, if you listen to Rise Against ever, Mason?
Do I listen to Rise Against? Yes, I do. I mean, I did. I can't really get into them that much anymore, just because as much as his raw passion is kind of infectious, McIlrath's voice does occasionally grate on me quite a bit.
Oh, did their vocalist change?
Tim McIlrath? No, I think he's always been.
Okay, I don't follow bands, so I don't know the name of the guy. Period.
Yeah, Tim McIlrath is his name. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I was just bringing him up because that style of vocals is something that I can do really well. that like
Yeah.
it's almost spoken word, but there is a musical element to it, and he occasionally does like actually demonstrate vocal like talent, like singing.
Yeah.
Like we could have done a lot of in Age of Pawns, we could have done a lot of the music in that style, and it would have been just as good because the music kind of lent itself to that. But you're right, he was just like he had this vision of how it was supposed to sound, and he was like, no, it has to be this way. And it's like, dude, if you I wish I would have been able to make him realize that it's like, dude, if you're dead set on attaining perfection, you're never going to release anything.
It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Like, and he was like always saying you're flat, and I'm like, well, you're trying to make me go into a fucking range that I can't hit. If you let me come down a few octaves, I'd sound fucking fine.
Like the angel you are left, creating a lightness in my chest. Your eyes, they penetrate me. God, I haven't listened to Rise Against properly in ages.
See, I don't even know that song. My favorite songs are Prayer of the Refugee and Dancing for Rain. This drought bleeds on, now we're dancing for rain. We drink the air, but it's still not the same.
Yeah, that was nice, man. Yeah, I remember the first time I heard Hero of War as well. That was like a moving experience for me as a teenager.
Yeah. Music has that. That's one of the things that's one of the things I never understood about my dad is my dad was a man who seemed to live in a state of active contradiction because you would put a song on and he would start singing along and he'd get animated and he'd have a smile on his face. But then you try to talk to him about music and he'd be like, I don't really like music. It's like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Some people just don't get it though, man. Like when I try to talk to my mum about like TV or film, and I'm like, oh, like say back when I could see, and I'm like, oh, they did that with this shot, and that was like to symbolize like this. Like I don't know if you noticed, but like they framed this guy so that he was like way taller than the other guy in the scene, and that was like to demonstrate their power dynamic. And my mum's just like, just watch the show, Mason. And I said, no, Mum, that's not how it's supposed to go. It's supposed to pay attention. Everything has a meaning, Mother.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. It's like if you're not paying attention to the thing you're consuming, why even consume it?
Right.
Like if you just want to be entertained, like I don't have respect for that. I don't have respect for brain dead consumption of content.
Yeah.
And which is probably why there's so much content out there, like so much pop music, like Lizzo and Cardi B and fucking what's the other, Nicki Minaj. It's like your music is brain dead. I don't really understand the appeal at all.
No. You know what really frustrates me about a lot of modern pop music though is that you hear some of their you hear like some of their voices and you're like, damn, if you just weren't doing the like I've got something in my throat voice.
Yeah.
You would genuinely be good, but so many of them sing like this now, like they've got something in their throat.
Right.
Yeah. We call that imposing your larynx, which is something actually when you're vocally trained, you're taught not to do.
I call it cock and mouth voice.
Yes. Yeah. Pretty much.
She likes the boys in the band, the ones that have prestige. That promise fortune and fame, a life that's so carefree.
Yep. It's like
he might have been a pedo, but he made some good goddamn songs, let me tell you.
Who?
That was Michael Jackson.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah.
I just didn't recognize it without a chee-chee hum at the end, so.
Ow!
Right. You're 3 mouth noises away.
You're only 3 mouth noises away from Michael Jackson.
Ow!
I can't decide
He
whether
was-
I'm going to take my beer or keep growing it.
Hmm.
What were you saying, Mason?
Yeah, I was just saying he was a weird dude. Like
Yes.
it's weird. You don't get things like that anymore. You don't get like icons anymore, really.
Yeah, I agree. Well, it's because our culture has become so disparate and diluted. It's like everyone has a different idea of what an icon should look like. And there's no unifying cultural values anymore. So it's impossible for people to lump behind a single figure.
Mhm.
You know, it's when your culture is so divided, it's impossible to have someone who is universally loved. So of course it's the age of the universally loved superstar is likely behind us, at least for
Well,
the
and
time
just,
being.
I mean, in terms of just influences as well, though, because if you like, bands coming up these days are like taking so much influence from, like Metallica, Sabbath, Maiden, like all them sort of stuff.
Yeah.
But, in like 20, 30 years, who are they going to be looking back on from like our generation? Because it's really hard to say like, I mean, I feel like with metal, the closest thing we have is someone like Avenged, where like they've made it really big and they've got some really, really good stuff. And despite M Shadow's unique vocalizations, their music is just outstanding, and I think
Jesus.
that speaks for itself.
Vocalism.
You what? Sorry.
I just like the way you said unique vocalism. Like you could almost taste the fact that it tasted like shit in your mouth.
Yeah. Anyway, M Shadow's voice is strange. I really can't work out. It's not good, but it really is for what he's doing. Like it totally works for what Avenged are doing. And
I'm not sure I agree. It's not good, Mason, because he demonstrates vocal talent. He really does. His range is pretty impressive, and he can hold a note like a mother.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and their songs are so like they're so imaginative as well.
Yes, like I'm just gonna play it really quick
Yes.
because I haven't heard it in so long. Can you guess what I'm gonna play, Mason?
Well, it just depends.
Well, just guess. Guess.
I don't know. A little piece of heaven.
Nope.
You heard that one.
I don't think I have. We can play it next, but this is the song.
Yeah.
So this is the song. When I think of Avenged Sevenfold, this is always the song that I think of.
Nightmare, maybe, or Almost Easy. Yeah, Nightmare.
Yeah, Almost Easy is another good one, but I don't associate it nearly as strongly with Avenged Sevenfold as Nightmare.
Yeah.
God, this intro is so good.
42 million views.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, they will be the Metallica and Maiden and that lot of our time probably.
Maybe the Metallica or the Maiden, but you're discounting other bands like Five Finger Death Punch.
Yeah.
And I think that Rise Against will have a place in a lot of people's minds.
There's nothing that isn't good about this intro.
Oh yeah, I agree. And here's where I really love it.
Mm-hmm.
Drag you down below, down to the devil show. Steal. You should have known the price of evil.
Oh, Slipknot as well. That's another good choice. For
Fucking nightmare!
Nightmare.
What I love about his vocal performance is you can tell he's having so much fun with it.
Oh yeah. Like when I said it wasn't good, that wasn't the right word to use. It's not necessarily aesthetically pleasing to everyone, is what I should have said. But
Yeah,
it works so well for what he does. I can't believe you haven't heard A Little Piece of Heaven. This one's brilliant. Can't wait.
A little. It might be one of those things that I have heard it, and it's not one of the ones that sticks.
The goddamn lyrics to this song.
Oh my god, almost 100 million views. Oh yeah, I have heard this. It's been a long time.
This is back when the Rev was still alive.
And you know what else? Is noteworthy about Avenged Sevenfold is they have this distinctly metal sound, but every now and then there's just like this little. They just like take a paintbrush and they like splash a little bit of ska on their music.
Well, and country sometimes as well.
I think you can make a point with that too. Absolutely.
Is it Gunslinger maybe, where it starts with like the slide guitar? It's like ding 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 ding. Yeah, you've been alone. You've been gone for far too long, and with all that we've been through, but after all this time, I'm coming home to you. When that kicks in, you just yeah. It's always pumped up.
Before the story begins, is it such a sin for me to take what's mine until the end of time? We were more than friends before the story ends, and I will take what's mine. Ain't forgot what never design. Our love had been so for far too long. I was weak with fear that something would go
wrong.
Possibilities came true.
I took all possibilities from you.
I'll slap myself to tears. Conjuring your deepest fear.
Eat it, eat it, eat it. Now she's just so perfect. I've never been quite so fucking decent. It goes on and on and on.
This has a very
Drags her into a room, fucks her corpse.
The fucking lyrics are so good as well.
Yeah.
I can keep you looking young and preserved forever with a fountain to spray on your youth whenever. It's one of those songs. It's like, yes, if my mother had walked in on me listening to that as a teenager, I would have been grounded. Considering that I got grounded for listening to the Black Parade.
Yeah.
And in my opinion, Black Parade is like a severely underrated album just because of like the image that My Chemical Romance had of like, you know, all the people being like, oh, they're just emos. And it's just like, dude, if you actually sit and listen to Black Parade, there isn't really a bad song on the album, and it's so well put together.
Yeah.
Well, and not only that, it's like, yeah, so what? They're an emo band. Your point? There's so much actually good emo music. And like what people like, all of the edgelord teenagers really ruined the aesthetic and the message of what emo culture was really going for. And that was this idea that we kind of revel in the sadness because there's so much of it we might as well like make it something that we find all the beauty we can in. That's really what emo was always all about. And all the fucking edgelord teenagers with their fucking swooped down hair and their fucking black nails and act, oh, life is pain. You wouldn't understand. Ruined it.
Yeah.
I mean, I definitely think MCR was a bit guilty of that, but musically they were so good, though.
I mean, they were definitely a bit guilty of it, but I don't think that they're not guilty of it in the sense that they did it to the point that it would have ruined it by itself. It was really, in my opinion, fan base of all My Chemical Romance and a bunch of Eyes Set to Kill and a bunch of other bands kind of in that same wheelhouse that just, it's like, dude, Bullet for My Valentine was another one. God.
I really like Bullet's like ballady sort of songs. I'm not too bothered about them generally, but like their slower ballady songs I really like. The tank is empty, let it dry. I'm suffering. I love that one.
Fucking hey, what's the song of theirs that's iconic to me?
I will.
Tears Don't Fall.
Oh yeah. That's probably the most well-known one.
Yep. Now tears don't fall
and crash around me. The conscience calls the guilty to go home.
Yeah.
Bloodshot eyes, I watch you screaming. The warmth I feel inside me is slowly fading. Would she hear me?
If I
called her name, would she hold me?
If she knew my shame. There's always something going on.
The path I walk's in the wrong direction.
There's always something hanging on.
Can anybody help me make this? Oh, we're just going to do the whole song.
That tears don't fall and crash around me.
The conscience calls the guilty to go home.
Mason, you need to move over here so we can be in a band together, man. It'd be so good.
Yeah, it'd be a great double.
So kidnap Mason.
We just gotta. I'll be Phil Collins. I'll be the vocalist drummer. God, Phil Collins, he's another one, dude. As a musician, he is a brilliant musician.
I don't know too much Phil Collins, to be honest, other than the obvious one.
What?
They did fucking in the air tonight. Yeah.
I can feel it calling in the air tonight.
Oh Lord.
And I've been waiting for this moment for all my life.
Or
hold on.
Is it Rain Down? I don't know. Because every time, no fail.
I want to play something for you, Mason, because this is one of my all-time favorite Disney songs ever, and it's by Phil Collins, and it like speaks to me at a fundamental level. So I just need you to listen to this with me really quick. And I know YouTube is gonna nuke it because it's Disney, but I don't give a fuck.
Who gives a fuck right now? I don't give a fuck.
I don't want to play the radio mix because the Disney mix is better.
Whatever you do, I'll do it too. Show me everything, tell me how. You don't do something, and you're nothing to me. Oh, I can see there's so much to learn. It's all so close and yet so far. I see myself as people see me. Oh, I just know there's something bigger out there. I wanna know. Can you show me?
It's very 80s.
Well, if you haven't noticed, a lot of my personality is very 80s.
Yeah. Yeah, see, I think I'm a strong 2000s kid. Considering that I can't really remember anything before that 2003.
Yeah.
My memory is truly awful.
Some other world far beyond this place, beyond the trees, above the clouds. Oh, I see before me a new horizon. I wanna know.
Aw.
I bet you were a hair metal kid, weren't you?
Kind of.
I can see you with the headband and everything. Can't you just sing? Pour some sugar on me.
Yes.
With you, take my hand. There's a world I need to know.
I can see him getting ready for school, like a shot through the heart, and you're to blame, honey. You give love a bad name. Singing into his hairbrush.
We waste time on what he wants. The boat could arrive any day. Now ask him straight out.
Brian Blessed.
What, you never seen Tarzan?
Take us to the gorillas.
Not for a very long time.
Understand?
I didn't realize Brian Blessed was in it.
Tarzan, you're the king of the jungle.
Why not?
Yeah.
Kerchak.
It's basically who I channel when I do the You Are Awesome thing.
I love that pickup.
Yeah, that's a good key changer.
Smidge more triumphant than earlier.
You know he's gonna make you have this as his wedding song, don't you? This is what you're gonna be coming down the aisle to.
No, actually, no. I'll show you what. I'll show you the kind of music I want at my wedding because I want to have a Celt wedding.
Yes.
I'm even wearing the headphones for this. The big over the head can headphones. I feel like Zach's about to send me a mixtape. I feel like I'm playing Guitar Hero.
Yes.
Oh man.
Yeah, I loved Def Leppard as a kid. I had a literal cassette tape of Def Leppard, man, and
Makes sense.
I love Def Leppard.
I can see that totally. Yeah.
I only had the one cassette tape, but man, I dig them. I really do dig them.
What are some of their big ones? I know I used to love at least one of their songs. I can't remember now.
Pour Some Sugar on Me was definitely one of their maybe their biggest song. They also had Animal and Love Bites. Love Bites is so good.
Yes, Love Bites. Yes, that's the one. That's the one I was thinking of. Yeah.
Yeah, this is a good song. This is a universal classic. Like people hear this and they're like, "Oh yeah, this is a good song." And people give Def Leppard shit. And I'm like, "Go fuck yourself. Def Leppard's great."
Yeah, Fuka. When you make love, do you look in the mirror? Does it look like me? God, I haven't heard this in years.
Yeah.
Say that it's forever.
About this is had to do Trevor when he was a baby.
Oh, bam!
He had a DVD with and to get Trevor to sleep, we would have to turn that on.
Wait. What'd you say, Kate?
I said,
He was too busy vibing, Kate.
well,
Right,
I mean,
it literally was.
because listening to this song, I was thinking of all the times I would having to get my nephew Trevor to sleep when he was a baby, because when he would get fussy, my brother Joel had a roommate, Shane, who had a DVD of one of their concerts, and for some reason we would have to play that to get Trevor to sleep.
He's like, oh, these boring old farts are on TV again. I'm going to sleep.
Like, he would be all fussy and stuff, and we would turn this on, and he'd be like, just like, yeah.
I was big into Aerosmith as a teenager as well.
Oh God, Aerosmith,
Yeah.
dude. Yeah.
I think after my first little puppy love breakup as a teenager, I like Angel was like my little breakup song.
Aw. Yeah. Or,
God, I should have been bored. I should have been bored in like fucking 1960. So right when the 80s was rolling around, I could have fucking threw a band together and been fucking famous as fuck.
Yeah. I don't have that time period. It's not fair. Like, I well and truly a 2000s person, and I mean, let's face it, I was never meant to be a musician or a vocalist. When I look back, man, I'm just like, oh, fucking hell. You what? Sorry.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say what I really should have done is like join something like a bit more like the Arctic Monkeys, because that was very much.
God, the
Mhm.
Arctic Monkeys, I love
They're
those.
great.
Do you know A Certain Romance by them?
Oh no! So yep, we'll look at that. Arctic Monkeys. I love.
So we listened to.
I love "Are You Mine." That is one of my favorite songs by them.
I really only like their first two albums when they were basically like they were being the Bard of the Common Man. Like I really don't like the modern stuff where it's like what's his name, Alex Turner, where he's like, hey, now that Bowie's dead, I'm Bowie.
But first, I want to show you what the kind of stuff that's going to be at me and Kate's wedding.
Yep. Oh, this is fun. Just a little chill music vibing session. I like it. That's lovely.
This speaks to an older part of me.
Fairy lights in the trees and the sacrificial cow waiting.
Oh my God. I was more so thinking the dancing circles and.
A young man walked through the forest with his quiver and hunting bow. He heard a young girl singing and followed the sound below. There he found the maiden who lives in the willow. He called to her as she listened from a ring of toadstools red. Come with me, my maiden.
This is lovely, to be fair.
Come from the willow bed.
Exactly.
Looked at him serenely
Link.
and only shook her head. See me now, oh ray of light in the moon dance. See me now, I cannot leave this place.
Nice.
Hear me now, a strain of song in the forest. Don't ask me to follow where you lead.
If that was
Then walk
if that was an instrumental, I would be like, that's going over bleeding ground. Like, if I found that on Epidemic Sound and it was an instrumental, I'd be like, right, I'll add that to the possibles list.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, this channel, her content creation was tragically cut short. I haven't been able to find any more updates about the issue, but she started losing her voice, and no doctor could figure it out. And like, she wasn't sick, she wasn't injured. Her voice just started going, and no one could figure out why.
Oh wow.
And that's tragic to me. I mean, listen to her; she sounds like a fucking angel.
Yeah, she sounds beautiful, to be fair.
She legitimately sounds like some fake creature of old, and it breaks my heart that there's not going to be any more music.
Yeah, they've got the vibe spot on with that. Yeah, you can't not picture like a little woodland forest and like,
right?
Just all that sort of stuff that comes with that.
Yeah. I can feel the plants brushing my skin as I walk along the path. I can smell the river running.
Yeah, and the gentle breeze on your skin.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's green.
Yeah. It's very green. Yeah.
So this Arctic Monkeys one, a certain type of romance, is the one that Lee always says that I sound like him when I sing, and always says that I can do this song quite well.
Let's find out. Lots of very Arctic Monkeys drum.
I loved them back then because they were just singing about like real stuff. Like the lyrics to this song just feels like it's just like where I live sort of thing.
Loading might wear classic Reeboks, or knackered Converse, or tracky bottoms tucked in socks. Oh, that's what the point is now. The point's that there is no romance around there, and there's the truth that they can't.
Well, I absolutely see her point that you could absolutely sing in this style. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
See, they'd
Probably like to throw a punch at me, and if you could only see him, then you would agree that the it was terrible. No romance around there,
Oh,
Oh, it's a funny thing, You tell them if you like. We'll tell them all tonight. They'll never listen.
Minds are made up, of course it's all okay to carry on that way.
Over there's broken bones. There's only music. So that there's new ringtones, and it don't take no Sherlock Holmes to see it's a little different around there.
I don't mind this at all, but it's not. So I like their stuff that's more like Arabella and Knee Socks is great too. But actually, you know what? I'm gonna play. Have you heard 505?
Yes, yeah.
I'm going back to 505.
This is one of my
If it's a
breakup songs.
7-hour flight or a 45-minute drive. In my imagination, you're waiting, lying on your side.
505. If it's a 7-hour flight
Or
or
a
a 45
45-minute drive.
in
In my imagination, you're waiting, lying on your side. With your hands between your thighs.
And then I love that stroke of the guitar right
Stop.
Oh, wait a sec. Oh, when you look at me like that, my darling, what did you expect?
I
With your
promise
arms
to adore you with your hands
around my neck, or I did last time I checked.
there. Literally beat for beat, these lyrics were my emotions whenever I
not
have
shy of a spark. The night was not a thought that I should fall short of the mark. Frightened by the bite, though it's no harsher than the bark. In the middle of adventure, such a perfect place to start.
I'm going back to 505
It's a 7-hour flight
or a 45-minute drive.
in my imagination.
You're waiting, lying on your side, with your hands between your thighs. Yeah, great band.
Yeah. To me, anyone that says they're not good, it's like, dude, you're literally just being a fucking hater for no reason.
Right, because they kind of remind me of I for some reason I always feel like I'm pronouncing this wrong, but Fratellis.
Yeah, the Fratellis, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very much that mid-2000s, like, indie rock sort of thing, yeah. I really liked Arctic Monkeys, their first two albums are Whatever People Say I Am, That's What I'm Not, and Favorite Worst Nightmare.
Mhm.
And those two albums are just fantastic, man, because there's Fake Tales of San Francisco was like, I loved that song as a teenager because it's all about, being like a fake poser rock star. And Fake Tales of San Francisco echo through the room. There's no point to a wedding disco without a bride or groom. And there's a super cool band, yeah, with the trilbies and the glasses of white wine. And all the weekend rock stars are in the toilets practicing their lines. And I've always loved that song because like there's a bit towards the end where he's like, yeah, I'd love to tell you all my problems. You're not from New York City, you're from Rotherham, so get off the bandwagon and put down the handbook.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yes, because I hate it when people don't sing in their own voice. There's nothing worse for me than hearing like an English person that's singing with like an American accent. I'm just like, oh, it makes me mad.
Yeah. And I think that's another reason why I like Des Rocks so much.
I haven't heard of that.
Mason, you haven't heard of Des? Okay, we'll play him next, but I want to play this because I want to play it.
Kills me not to know this, but I've almost just forgotten what the color of her eyes were, and her scars and how she got them. As the telling signs of aging, down a single tear is dropping.
From the valleys of an aging face that this world has forgotten.
I love her song.
Yeah, man. I love the way they do the guitars because they have like the two and one is like dropped down and they play the same chords, but it's just so good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There is no reconciliation that will put me in my place, and there is no time like the present to drink these draining seconds. Have you ever heard the Simlish version of this?
No, what version?
The Simlish version.
Oh, God, no, the what version?
They did a version. They did a version for The Sims, and he re-recorded it and sang it all in Sim language.
Oh,
Dope. We're gonna listen. Yeah, we're gonna listen to that. Also, I just want you guys to know that I got a little bit too excited when the music dropped, and I literally punched myself in the testicle.
Nice.
My balls hurt now.
I don't know. You know, the approaching curve.
what? What'd you say?
I said, do you know the approaching curve by these?
Curve?
Yeah.
No, is it by the same band? Is it by them?
Yeah. It's almost like a spoken word sort of one.
Nice.
And when I was in college and I was doing my A-level English language, for our coursework, we had to go and find source material and then write a short story based around it. And I went and did that for this song.
Oh man, okay. Oh my god, bro.
You'll be knocking no biz, but I found about jukes a gapping. Scares are who she gaps in. As a tell us as the outbreak go. Go to the stopping.
I could literally bump this.
Yes.
I could literally bump this, bro.
Just put it on the driving playlist.
It's like I'm listening to metal, but it's old English.
Not even.
It's like
you had a stroke.
It's like
Yeah.
you don't. It's like you're a non-native English speaker, and this is what English sounds like to you.
Bro. Oh my god! Thank you for making me aware of this. This is fucking hilarious.
I knew you'd enjoy it.
Yep.
Okay, what was the one that you just the rise against? What?
The approaching curve.
Okay, first I want to show you that. Yeah, I can't believe you don't know this guy. You're gonna love this guy, Mason.
That's great.
I can't wait. I'm legitimately very excited to hear what you have to say about this.
Made mistakes. Lord struck me down. Caught in a landslide. Lost underground. Hidden gates. Swing open loud. Come close to midnight. Hell fed me down. And then my eyes got used to the darkness. And everyone I knew was lost and so long forgotten after you. Now would you break me for you twist the knife? Yeah, would you take my hand and take life?
Yeah,
That's not bad, actually. I'm not 100% on his voice, but I like everything about it still.
Yeah. 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 He's got a very old sound.
Yeah, and you can tell that he's passionate about it, and a lot of the time that's just what matters to me anyway. It's like, that's one of the reasons why I like Nomi, is because it's like, yeah, well, your voice isn't always that great, but I can tell that you're having a good time with it, so.
Yeah. Yeah.
See, I actually think his voice complements the music perfectly.
Oh, no, I think it works really, really well. I'm just not 100% of like, yeah, this is the best voice I've ever heard sort of thing, but
Oh, gotcha.
with music, I'm used to just liking music, you know, like 95% or something. You know what I mean? Like you're never gonna get a song that you like 100%. There's always gonna be like something.
Oh, speak for yourself. There's a lot of songs I'm 100% on board with.
I think I might just be more picky.
Possible, yes.
Although it hits that H chord before the chorus kicks in.
Another thing that does it for me is I'm a sucker for music that like it either tells a story or has great symbolism, and this is kind of both. Like music that actually means something.
Yeah,
I love it. That's why I love Rise Against so much. All of their music is so packed with meaning.
Oh, you'll like this next one, then, because it's like a proper story.
Yeah, and I think that's another reason why I like a lot of Dez's stuff, is because all of his songs seem to have some kind of a meaning behind them. Also, a lot of them are somewhat conversational, in the sense that you can see basically the scene that, you know, is being born of whatever.
Oh, yeah, well, I always get that with music anyway. Music always makes me think of a scene. Like, what sort of scene would I write to this song?
Mm-hmm.
This is very much like, this is season finale of a thriller, right? Is like everything's being revealed, you know, as they're going around and they're showing you like revealing who the killer is, and they're like disposing of evidence, and then showing you like what some of the other characters are doing, and then here's this moment from earlier in the season where this person did this thing that you didn't see, and it's a big dramatic reveal.
Yeah.
Frequency. The speakers gently seep the sounds of ambient keyboards and light percussion, creating a seductive soundtrack to our midnight drive to curtains of blackness. The windows will feel to the touch, reflecting the icy condition in our immediate extremity. Salt stains and fingerprints littered the glass. Streaks of melting snow cascaded down its length. The music grows louder, but gentle, like the faraway squeal of a pond of boiling water. The skyline was glowing faintly with vague hints of an impending dawn. The car raced along a painfully straight stretch of road. She hadn't so much as turned the steering wheel 2 degrees in the last 20 minutes. No one was spoken. As we were so perfect,
So happy. Don't remember only your scars, cause that's all they see.
Did I ever tell you about how I taught myself to hear lyrics properly?
No.
Okay, so fun little fact about it seems to be a genetic thing. So my dad, for years, complained about hearing problems, and it wasn't just that he was going deaf, which is a common one. It's actually that he suffered another. He was losing his hearing just in general, but he was also struggled with something called vocal discernment, which is a unique kind of hearing problem that's more, it's not in the physical function of the ear, it's in the wiring of your brain kind of thing.
Yeah, like a brain thing, yeah.
So your brain is not as equipped to process audio or not equipped to process audio in the same way as everyone else. Yeah. So if there's a ton of background noise or multiple voices or anything like that, words instantly just kind of become gibberish.
Yeah.
And for a very long time, I'd say half my life, that was the case with me. I legitimately, when I was a kid, I would sing songs by just kind of making vocalizations that sounded like
Yeah, the
what
mimicked it.
was. I mimicked it exactly. I didn't know what they were actually saying, and I realized that in high school, I like became like fully cognizant of it. Like, I don't actually know the lyrics to a ton of my favorite songs. So what I did is I'd go listen to them while reading the lyrics,
Ah,
and
right, okay.
I was able to program my brain to pick out the voice enough to where I can now listen to stuff like this and actually understand what he's saying.
I love the lyrics to this. It's so poetic and just all the imagery. Like, you can totally see, like they're driving down this big stretch of road. I always picture sort of like a highway, like late at night, and like like the orange lights that are like blurring past you, and they're just in there, and they're not speaking. They've clearly had some sort of disagreement, and the music's on, and the snow's melting down the way. It's just so fucking evocative, and I love it.
She looked down momentarily and closed her eyes for a bit longer than a standard blink. Then she was crying. Then she was shouting. Then I was shouting.
That is, and she closed her eyes for a bit longer than a standard blink. I love punk. I love punk so much.
Yeah,
I just fucking love it, Mason. I don't know how to articulate the exact thought
I agree with you.
associated with that lyric, but I just
I knew this one would speak to you. You should play to the end because there's a full story to it.
Yeah, we'll do that.
Now pouring confessions, having no answers or solutions. We barely even knew the questions. As we were so perfect, so happy. Don't remember only our smiles, 'cause that's all they seem. Just right when we are found, all the tears in which we had drowned. As we were so perfect, so happy. Don't put me underground. I was meant for a life somewhere else. Please don't give me the will. Before both of our hearts, you will stay as we were. So perfect,
So happy. But only our smiles, 'cause that's all they see.
just right when we are found. All the tears in which we had drowned. As we were. So perfect, so happy. Our cracking voices became part of the music. The car pressed on faster through the night. As our voices lowered, the cadence again overtook the air. Up ahead there was a curve approaching. She made no indications of slowing.
Oh, that ending. It gives me fucking goosebumps. Like, oh shit, she's gonna kill them both.
Yeah.
It's like, oh shit.
Yep.
I love that song. I doubt you will have. Have you ever heard of an artist called Blue Roses?
That sounds vaguely familiar, but I don't think it's because I've actually heard about them. It's because there's something else in my life that is associated with that. We'll look that up. But first, I want to. Is there a specific song?
Which ones come up when you type it in?
Animal Crossing, New Horizons, Katrina Stewart, Pam Tillis, Lion Dance, Overlord, ACNH, Falling, Ropagongi, Carillion, Chris Brown, Karaoke, Andrew Rail.
Oh no, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. It's been years since I heard the song that I was thinking of. It just put a random one by her on. I really only wanted you to see her voice to see what you would think.
Okay.
I'll try and see if I can find the song.
There was a song called Blue Roses by Flyleaf.
Are you sure it's not Blue Rose, not Blue Roses?
It might be Blue Rose. I don't know. 1 second. You show me the one you were going to show me first, and I'll see if I can find it.
I have to give you the lead-in. Do you want to hear the song that proved to me that reincarnation is real?
Yeah.
Dear fellow traveler under the moon, I saw you standing in the shadows and your eyes were blue. You put your hand out, opened the door. You said, come with me, boy, I want to show you something more. You spoke my language and touched my limbs. It wasn't difficult to pull me from myself again. And in our travels, we found a road. You held it like a mirror, showing me the life I chose. And I returned to my beautiful city. Black skies changed into blue. And my love is so wise and so pretty. But tonight I still dream of you. Dear fellow traveler under the moon, I think I'm growing weary and I'm hoping you'll come soon.
That's nice. That's got a nice vibe to it. How come it proved reincarnation was real? I'm interested.
So, the story behind that is a few months, I can't remember the exact number of months, but a few months before me and Kate met, she had a dream where she got a phone call and the ringtone was that song.
Mm-hmm.
And when we were kind of put together by the guy who was acting as my PR guy so that she could do an interview for my book, I signed my email, Dear Fellow Traveler, or not Dear Fellow Traveler, excuse me, I signed it, Look to the Skies Traveler. And, after we had gotten to know each other pretty well, Caitlin told me that. And, what was it, Caitlin? You answered the phone in your dream and you heard my voice asking, is this Kate?
Yeah.
Interesting.
And And over the next couple weeks after me and Kate got to know each other, we just we had conversations, and it culminated in these collection of experiences, all of which we have on camera.
Yes.
Well, not all of which, but a good chunk of which we have on camera, where I would enter these altered states of consciousness, and it's hard to explain, but I can really only explain it as
being really fucking high.
no. I mean,
I'm
yes,
just kidding.
no. I mean, if you can imagine reaching a point where you're so high that you're sober.
Yes, that's very high.
And I'm in this altered state, and I'm just talking to Caitlin, and she's talking back to me like we've known each other for thousands of years.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just completely, it was like a 100% organic, sober conversation. But
Nice.
I didn't have any memory of any of the things I was saying.
All right, okay. That's very interesting. Which I actually mean sincerely.
Yeah.
I have to clarify.
Yeah, no, I didn't think you were being a smartass.
The song I was thinking of, it's called I Wish I. It's Blue Roses, and if you type Laura Grove after it, then it should come up.
Okay, it is Blue Roses. I wish
I don't know what you'll think of this. It's not particularly one that I'm like, oh yeah, this is the best song ever, but I'm interested to see what you think of her voice more than anything.
I called you and got what I deserve. That laughing in your words. I wish that I could photograph my moods, show them to you, just to prove something down in the town. I'm trying to prove something, but the clock has gone.
she obviously has a lot of vocal talent, and I think if she was singing in a style I liked, I'd like her voice. I mean, her voice sounds nice. She undeniably
Yeah.
sounds good. She has talent, natural talent, and cultivated talent. But I don't like the style she's singing in. It's not my cup of tea. And in my opinion, the piano and her voice are clashing, not in sync. And I don't like it.
Yeah, I think I probably agree. I was actually shown her by my media teacher in high school.
Oh wow.
He knew I was into music, and occasionally he'd come in and be like, "Oh, check this out." And sometimes it'd be good, sometimes it'd be bad, sometimes it'd be Lemonheads.
I'm
Um,
a lemon.
Not Lemonheads, fish heads. I think. Was it fish? Fish heads, roly poly fish heads, feet heads. Eat them up, yum.
What?
I can't remember what it was called. Fish heads. I don't know who it was by. He was like the sort of person that would come in and show me like, what is it? Fucking Hey Macaroni by like Mr. Bumble Crunch or something. I don't know. He was just into really weird stuff. I
He
didn't
had
think we.
a very eclectic taste in music.
Oh
but
yeah,
the good kind.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, there were some hits, a lot of misses. I mean, dude was cool. He sent us out to do a music video for a project at some point, and gave us permission to get on the roof of the school. To which we were, not the roof of the school. Sorry, it was like a little outhouse thing that I think they kept used as a storage space, and we were going to get on the roof of that. He gave us permission to, and then right as we were climbing up there, like someone come along and like, what are you doing? And then stopped us from doing it.
I would have gotten right the fuck up there, but like, well, he said.
We said we could.
So instead, I stood on a wall and we cleverly framed it so that it looked like I was much higher up.
Nice.
Yeah, I think it's about time to wrap it up now, though, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah.
It is. Assuming that neighbor of yours is still a douche.
Yeah, sorry about that.
So it's not your fault.
It's not your fault. He's a douche.
Right.
He's all
So-
like, yeah.
The bleeding ground and some music. Nice stream.
Not
Yeah.
bad.
Oh man, oh boy, oh golly, oh geez. Let me tell you.
Oh, geez.
Alrighty.
Mhm.
All right, guys, we're gonna wrap up. Probably gonna eat something. Maybe. I don't know.
Maybe
I don't
do
know
a
what
read, right?
I was looking for a joke, but
Then he's gonna listen to Bleeding Ground again and try to look for all the little clues. I know you don't just listen to it the once, Zach. I know you don't.
I hate to burst your bubble, but I actually do.
Yeah, I know. I'm just kidding.
Where stories are concerned, stories are the only thing I have a good memory for. I generally only need to consume a story once, and I remember it very well. After I've consumed the whole thing, I may go back years later and watch the whole and listen to it all again. Especially, I might end up teaching a course on storytelling, and I'll be like, and now we're going to analyze the work of someone who isn't me.
just my best friend.
Just my best.
There's no nepotism here, I promise.
Right. Oh my god. Yeah, because sometimes I'll go back through and I'll comb through things that I've read before. Usually to see how differently I view them because of because of how much time has passed between the last time I read it and, things that have happened to me. Also, to see what I missed, really, if anything, because sometimes you comb back through and you're like, whoa, hey.
Yeah, I found a few things like that in Bleeding Ground.
Yeah. Yeah. Even though you wrote it. I love it when that happens, though. Because it's like, wait.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's obviously I need to get this out quick because we were trying to wrap up. But, like, in the first chapter, I went back and listened to that the other day, and I was like, I just completely hadn't, like, thought about the fact that the elder in that chapter is, like, Evander's dad. And then I was like, oh, shit, that's Evander's dad, that character is. And then all the people of Huxley, they all give, like, blades to the spirits. And it's, like, the people that they lost. And Evander's dad gives the blade to a girl. And I was like, I turned to Lynn, I was like, wait, so who the fuck is that girl? Like, because if they're all giving blades to people that they've lost, that presumably mattered to them in some way, whether they were family or whatever. So who is this girl?
It's like, what does she mean to him?
Well, I mean, it sounds like that could have easily been Evander's wife or his granddaughter.
Yeah. It could have been, yeah.
Sickness.
Mm.
It wasn't.
Right.
Yeah, see, it was originally going to be, before I wrote this chapter, it was originally going to be that Valdis had killed them as well. And I was like, you know what? Everything can't be Valdis.
Right.
Right. That's a smart decision. He can't be the single source for all suffering ever.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
As much as he'd like to take credit for that.
Oh,
as much as he would love to be. Why, of all my abilities, can't I be in multiple places at once?
Right. I could give them the flu. I could do it. I just need to figure out how.
Maybe he just thinks it's a simple sickness, and really, I poisoned them.
I mean, yeah. That could still be that could literally still be the case.
Right.
I don't think it says.
He's like misdirect.
Yep, and like until later, you know, they're
What do you
having
mean?
a conversation and it pops up and he's like, okay guys, so you know that thing I said? Like, you know, before.
What do you
How
mean,
it
like that
was
entire chapter being a misdirect? Like, here, have a lovely chapter of them just being friends and having a nice flirt and a banter, and oh my god, now she's had a premonition.
right. Yeah.
Okay, then.
Okay, we're gonna wrap up.
Yeah.
Thanks everyone for being here. What was that?
Welcome.
The adventure.
Oh, welcome. It's just the way you shouted it and your mic distorted.
Ah,
Welcome to the adventure.
There was a nice like eerie rasp on that.
yes.
It's good. All right, guys. Welcome to the adventure.
Welcome to the adventure. Goodbye.
Haha, Goofy, get your hand off my balls.